Oh, I'm not unmuted. You probably could hear me typing. My what do you call it? My audio is still a little weird. My voice probably sounds a little high. I need to make it sound a little bit more like it sounds in my skull, which where it reverberates and picks up a little bit of bass, so it sounds more like my real voice. Because I feel like my voice is too high on the mic. But I'll try not to make it sound overproduced because that's a really bad sound. I don't like it one bit. This is probably, no, that's actually pretty loud, actually. I'll turn it down just a little bit. Aesop Rock instrumentals. And then we need to pop, no, we got both our chats popped out. What am I forgetting to do? I don't think I'm forgetting to do anything. There's always something. What's up, Gonad? Yeah, I have a whole bin full of Dallas semiconductor temperature sensors. I use them in everything. I love them. But that's a project that I've talked about for a long time, is putting a bunch of temperature sensors on all the pipes so I know who's using the hot water. Not that we don't have enough hot water in the house. It's just I feel bad when somebody's like taking a morning shower because I wake up at weird times, so I might be stepping on somebody else's toes. I'd like to know that. So I can open up a Node-RED dashboard and go, oh, somebody's using the shower. It doesn't matter who. I'm not snooping on anybody. I just want to know that it's being used. Or, oh, somebody's got the wash going. Gonna redo all the temp humidity sensors. How do you know that the data that they're getting is good? I mean, if you just put them in the room, it could be by like a hotspot in the room. Like for instance, on the beer tap with the VFD screen in it that I have, it reads 10 degrees above the actual temperature because it's on the back of a circuit board with an enclosed VFD. So there's a lot of heat pooling around. Yeah, I tried to put foam on the leads to insulate it, but something's giving it that extra 10 degrees. And I wasn't able to program an offset into the fridge running software because that was part of the refrigerator software, not my own personal dashboard. So I couldn't just put like a numerical offset on it. Very annoying. Move them if they're wonky. I could probably move it out a little further from the tap, but then that's something that like break when you're going to get beer. Oh, let me get the light bulbs. I got these 2 light bulb stands. They're cheap as hell, but I want to put Tasmota RGB LED light bulbs on them, because then they can be indicators. So if somebody subscribes to the stream, or if one of my hard drive's smart status fails, I can actually throw a warning light up. So I think these would be clever to just have sitting on top of like the rack. Too bad I can't I could just paint these or cover them in gaffer's tape. Problem is, this one's Bluetooth, and I don't want to use this one, so they're garbage. Mine are on the ceiling and all read too high. Oh yeah, the whole heat convection. Move them down to sitting head height, and they report proper room temperature now. I have a temperature, like a thermometer humidity sensor. It's not like online. It's just something to tell me what my room is like. And it's sitting behind my desk and up. And the air that it gets there is different from the air everywhere else. Because I'll be freezing cold, and it'll tell me it's 70 degrees. I'm like, that's not right. I'm freezing fucking cold. I can't be that sensitive to temperature. I go outside in this freezing weather, and I'm just like, yeah, this is great. But I think I'd get along swimmingly in Canada when I have to fucking flee there because they've made insulin expensive again, and it's a life or death decision about whether or not to go join the mooses. Used to have my heating thermostat over my monitors and wondered why I was wrong. I don't understand why we only have one thermometer on the thermostat. Why is there not a couple remote thermometers to move all the way around? Right? It's like I have the thermometer upstairs is right near the upstairs office, and the upstairs office has 2 standing lamps, and the thermostat is right behind one of them. So when that lamp is on, and I don't complain about this, but when that lamp is on, the rest of the house cools down, which is good because I live with people who need to be just irradiated at all times. They need to be just glowing with heat, apparently. And it's very stuffy for me, who needs to be refrigerated, sensibly. I need to be refrigerated. I require refrigeration in order to stay fresh. All that nice convected heat from the screen was offsetting it by about 5 degrees. Yeah. I was preening. Preening is just, that's an adjective. That's a verb. My follow list on Twitch, when I spotted this channel, I don't know where I found you, but I definitely followed you while toasted, and I still like your stream sober. That's nice to hear as a former toasted individual. I try to keep it entertaining. I know a lot of this stuff is like so far over people's heads, and I could dumb it down. I don't want to dumb it down. I don't ever want to dumb stuff down for you guys. I just hope people can follow along and I can stay a silly person online enough that it attracts people that will encourage me to continue doing this. You know, I appreciate you coming in here and leaving a big old comment in my chat. That's very nice of you. Crashing Q, what do we have? Let's see. I think Discord would be the better indicator of what we have in common, because I get around on Twitch. I've been through a couple different channels, just lurking and watching. I like Twitch. I'm philosophy smart, but I haven't taken math in 3 years. We try to avoid math like it's the plague, because it is. Math will be the death of us all. When we all turn into physics in the end. But yeah, I try to do kooky, zany, silly stuff. Modular synthesizers have kind of they pulled the rug out from under me, and now I'm deep in a well of project that we're starting to claw our way out. We've forged the little Geordie LaForge spikes, and we're starting to kind of climb our way out of this ditch. I'm starting to finish the mixer. I had an added project of doing quick mechanical keyboard design in making a rat's nest of wires into a circuit board, into my first flexi circuit board. And this taught me how to make circuit boards again. And then we went into the realm of dense circuit boards. And so that's the mixer project, making an extraordinarily dense, but yet pleasingly mirrored, a little bit designer circuit board that, of course, due to Fusion 360, we have these beautiful 3D renderings of the entire circuit board. And I can tell my buddy Julian, yes, I can make your ridiculously annoying, stupid mixer project in 2 HP and have it still be analog and high quality. People making stuff is really good pastime at work. That's a lot of what I've seen attracted to my channel, and I see it time and time again as the comment where, Bother, I'm here, I'm at work, and I'm playing your content. I see you for this. Another, oh no, that's with the lyrics. When did I get into that? Oh, that's because music for Earthworms, and then it played all the way to the end and went to the next track. Weird. I don't remember listening to this. Go back to instrumentals and just find something good to do. This will go back through all of them, won't it? We'll go all the way back to here. Here we go. That'll do. Yeah, it's fun to watch people build stuff for sure. This is going to be the bane of my existence, is the leads coming off of these have been altered to be small. Is it playing out the right device? Yeah, it's just distorted a little bit. Have this weirdo science people like yourself or software makers and crafters. I have a lot of variety streamers on my list just because they play a lot of neat games, and I like to kind of keep up with what's doing. I do need to do more gaming streams though, but man, the science and technology going over to Twitch is really cool because it's a lot easier than reading about somebody doing something, is when you see them actually putting something together. Yeah, weird in a good way, yeah. Always, always, always. I appreciate you. Yeah, we're just kind of starting out. We're just starting the stream out, chilling, talking about random stuff. Tasmodo is a big thing. Oh, let me, yeah, oh no, I did. I got YouTube chat popped out. That's like keeps me up at night. It's like, did I pop out YouTube chat? I followed one wood construction streamer. I followed one, but then I didn't really watch anything. I don't remember when I got this. I found it in my bag the other day. It was supposed to be part of the ghost hunting stream. Why is it always going insane? Shut up. There. Is it supposed to always be red? 102 volt per meter. Wait, what? V per M? you like the Flaming Lips? I don't actually watch, or I don't listen to them all that much. I don't mind them. It means I'm haunted. The ghost detecting device is working. Good E field. Good H field. I don't know if this thing's useful at all. One V per M? That doesn't seem right to me. It should be like micro or millivolts. I guess we've got magnetic fields too. I wonder what the sensor is in this thing. Maybe we'll take this apart too today. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love nicotine? I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of nicotine. And milligrams. Oh, okay. How many milligrams of RF do we have? I guess 0. It detects the preparation H field. The smear field. VPP. I mean, I don't know why I bought this thing. I don't know what it does. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Are there ghosts around? I'm holding it up like this for more than 5 minutes because my glucose sensor is right here, and that speaks Bluetooth. And my phone is right here, which also speaks Bluetooth. My PP voltage. I always got to know how many volts my PP is running. And I can do it wirelessly with this. I guess it probably needs to be close to whatever's emitting the field, but do it. Go on, do it. Do it. Do it. Come on, you can do it. Do it. Do it. Come on, strike me. Strike me with all your anger. Strike me with your VPP. Wait, no, that's a different video that I saw. That's a different video. This thing is useless. I think this thing is useless. We should take it apart. We can characterize the antenna and figure out what it's doing. Whether or not it has special chips in it that are actually reading what we think it is. Whoa! That was a quick little transmission there that we got. Oh, it was a text message. Ah, well, got the text message. It's my medical company saying I should reorder my supplies. Your supplies may be running low. I can assure you they're not. What are we? 4.9 milligrams of RF of H field. Who's H field? Oh my God. These are not powered on, so when I do get the bulbs that I ordered, the RGB LED bulbs, the ones that I ordered will be coming in. I don't know, maybe soon. I think they got super duper shipping on them, but they should be coming in, and then I will be able to actually do this project, which involves the Node-RED Twitch API extension. And so we'll Twitch API, and then I can maybe make it do what is that called? The server. Hold on. I have a browser window open for it. That browser window tells me that the REST API. REST API is apparently used with my server, and so I can get Node-RED to ping the REST API and get a smart status from my hard drives. I do have a Flipper Zero. My neighbor bought a Flipper Zero with the RF plugin. Now, there's a lot of better RF plugins out there because I've been reading up about it. I still don't know. Well, I'll talk about that in a second. But he got a Flipper Zero, and he bought it, and he put it in its box, and he put it on his desk, and it sat there for a long time. And so he goes to me. He's like, because he was an electrical engineer, did law. Philly in law apparently is like a really lucrative career that I never got into. Boy, I'd have so many contacts. I know so many lawyers out here just because Philadelphia. But anyway, so he didn't really do, as a career, he didn't do a lot of like EE stuff. He did a lot of legislation, whatever, blah, 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 law firm things. And so now he's kind of a little bit idle, and he sort of is looking for stuff to do, and he knows electrical engineering. And so he met me, after moving into this neighborhood, and he's like BFF, like, you know, we talk about all kinds of crazy stuff when we walk the dogs, so to speak. No, when we actually physically walk the dogs for real. But no, so he had a Flipper Zero sitting around. He's like, I got nothing to do with it. You want one? I'm like, sure. So he gives me this thing, and I told him I tried to order one, but my credit card was like, no, that's too shady. You can't order that. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. Like, hold on a minute. This is totally legitimate. I tried to order one. So he got one and then gave it to me, and then he bought another one without telling me, and because he's like, yeah, maybe you can show me the ropes. I don't know what to do with this thing. He left a giant memory card in it, and so I've been loading up the memory card with any sort of signals I can find from GitHubs, including like gas station pricing signs that I'm kind of reluctant to try to hack into. As somebody who's one of their internal organs is now external and Bluetooth, I am a little bit reluctant to totally hack the planet on the Wi-Fi thing, on the wireless thing, I should say, the 433 megahertz that everybody assumed was safe because nobody was playing around with it. And Flipper Zero comes along and they go, no, that's illegal, that's illegal. And you're like, no, it's not. You're just you're yeeting these signals over the air like idiots. I probably get all the neighbors' garage door RF codes. If any of them updated, this is a 1990s neighborhood, so all of the garage door openers are likely to be 1990s. You apparently need to get several scans of a garage open signal in order to confidently be able to open a garage door. And I have tried. I have been scanning when the neighbors pull their car in and go into their garage, and I didn't get the right thing. I have to try again. I have to keep trying on our dog walks. I have to keep this thing in like a sleeve pocket or a shirt pocket, and I have to have it on scanning mode. Yeah, boo.bs. I think the codes that I got from the one GitHub were all British. I think that they were British. But I also downloaded the Tesla codes for opening the charging door, which is it's like a local kind of thing, right? You can open that charging door. It'll close again after a little while. They did some updates on it. And there are 2 different codes that'll open the different models. But they'll open all of them, all of the charge doors. So it's a little like NFC tag that scans from the wand. So apparently I can open them. I haven't totally tried yet. I was going to try on a friend's Tesla. Oh, and they have to be in range. Their key has to be in range in order for you to open that battery door. So I haven't really been able to successfully do it yet. My friend who had a Tesla crashed it, probably because he was overusing auto drive. We think he's forgotten how to drive a vehicle. We're pretty sure he has. But anyway, I haven't had the ability to test or scan, and look at me. I don't go outside. I only walk the dog. There are only so many RF signals that I can get by not going outside. If I ever move back into the city, I'll have to have a debate about whether or not I can keep this thing. And then also I'll be able to scan all kinds of RF because that's where everything happens. But until then, I'm out here in the burbs. I don't even get cell phone reception. You should know how dismal it is for wireless signals in this area. So the mischief that I can get into is limited. It's limited, unfortunately. My car uses a rolling code. Most cars do since the Stone Age. So there's no chance that I'm probably going to be getting a remote signal off of it. I could get all the TV remotes wrapped up into one device and use that as a TV remote. That's one of the only reasons people use the Flipper Zero, is as a sort of unrestricted universal remote. That's sort of what I found out by reading up on all this stuff. The expectations are very high, but they're a little bit overinflated for what the Flipper Zero is actually capable of doing. I'm sitting here, and on the other monitor, as I talk to you guys, I'm looking at this, and I'm like, this isn't right. It's the kind of thing, as a PCB designer, one of my big skills is designing easy little PCBs, is seeing it. Look at how uneven that is. That has a little bit of space above it, and that one goes, that one goes all the way up to the chip. I have to use alt spacing because that's too much. And then that's even. I really cursed myself. By having the English spacing on a metric board, huh? What's a blah one? But all the resistors, I think, are English spaced and not metric spaced. I think. Ugh, what a bunch of piss. I have to like go in and correct all this stuff because even the English, yeah, see how they're centered on the edges of the chip? That I need to alter to be metric. So if I move those pads just a little tiny bit outwards, then they'll be on a metric grid, and I'll be able to use them a little bit more easily. Not to mention the fact that, you know, you do your first jump off grid and move it onto grid. But I can make these things a little bit more centered and, you know, match up a little better if I move them onto the right grid. That'll ease my PCB design a little bit. I wish I could put in or figure out what some of these like hard rules that I subject myself to when I design a PCB. I wish I could put them into the program as my own sort of, this is how I build things. And I have to remember about the grids, moving them to metric and having them be one grid is a tenth of the other grid. You just go by like 1 decade. You move the decimal point. Train a model. The world of AI and circuit board design is older than the current AI trend by a decade. By a decade. In the early 2000s, we were talking about AI models creating circuit boards. That's been around for a long time. Been around for a long time. It's 20 plus years. So by now, the models, not the ones that I have, but the ones that the circuit board design software suite companies have, are probably pretty powerful. Probably pretty good at what they do at this point. I would imagine that any motherboard you get your filthy, grubby, stupid hands on, you idiot, you filthy worm. I'm sorry. Any like computer motherboard that you get your hands on has probably not been designed by a human at all. They might overlook the design, but I have a feeling they just go to the algorithm and go, I want this many of this plug. And then the algorithm just puts together a whole circuit board. I would imagine at this point. Yeah, all the 433 megahertz hacking. I mean, I see a lot of the stuff out there, but those are from the early days of the Flipper Zero. Do you think it's efficient? Oh yeah, no doubt it's efficient. It can't not be efficient. That's just how that works. That's just how the industry works. It's like everything is completely, efficiency is like the #1 thing, right? Everything takes a second seat to that, including like employee retention and happiness and like all that stuff, like comfort, oxygen, making sure people get water. That's like way down on the rungs below efficiency. Everything has to be super efficient, and the fewer humans that are in the process, the more efficient they can make it. I have no idea how motherboards are made. I don't know anything about the process. I just would imagine that they have the cream of the crop when it comes to tools, and extrapolating from 1999, 2000, 2001, 2, them saying, design your auto router with AI in Altium. I imagine that nowadays stuff is crazy, crazy, crazy. I love this song. Bum, bum. Not so much the, well, no, I like the beat. I like the beat just as much as I like the lyrics. Coexist, I don't exist. I don't coexist, I don't exist. Can you export the design to some text data? Maybe you could feed it through ChatGPT. No. You're trying to lift tiles with a screwdriver. Wrong tool for the wrong job. An AI chat model is completely different from something that's designing circuit boards, and the requirements for a circuit board are a lot simpler. They're a lot simpler than trying to string together a coherent sentence. So, like making a language model design your circuit board is it's a little strange. Not to mention the pool of data that the language model is derived from has very little to do with how circuit boards are put together and implemented. You can maybe ask it, and it would answer you conversationally about things involved in circuit board design, and you would get a better idea of that. You get better data. If you try to make the model do something it's really not supposed to do, you're gonna like, why isn't this working? Well, it's because it's not supposed to do that. It can program in Python, C, TypeScript, who knows? Yeah, but where's it getting its pool of data from? It's getting that pool of data from GitHub, from the internet, from circles where programmers have shared things freely with one another. Entire blocks of code, big pieces of code that it interprets as a language, then it can put together as a language. That's how that works. So circuit board design as a language doesn't really exist that much. conversationally, you connect this to this and this to this. You should route this way. You should route that way. That exists. It's just as a direct source of designed PCB, you're better looking to like Altium, a place where they're actually feeding a model off of real circuit board design. It's something that people don't understand about AI, is that like it's only as good as the stuff that goes into it. And so when you have a language model, suddenly it speaks language very well and is basing that off of language that's spoken, like not spoken, typed on the internet. Because all it's doing is typing at you. It's not really, it is language, but it's not spoken. I shouldn't say spoken. But you're looking at a language learning model that's learning off of language. And so it languages very well. You can't then make it design a circuit board because that's a completely different thing. That's not language, that's math and science. And although people talk about the math and science, they talk about it using language and not circuit boards. I'm not posting a circuit board in order to, it's just whatever. Be cool to see what it spit out. I suppose it would be something nonsensical. My favorite routing, though, my favorite auto routing is unbridled topor routing. Topor routing is one of my favorites. I don't think I can use it with Fusion. I don't think it has a like a user language model, but my O key doesn't work. Come on, there we go. Topor. Topor is as the crow flies. It simply just routes things based on a collision model, I guess, in keeping things from colliding with one another or overlapping. Topor makes some very, very cursed stuff. They've used it in the telecom industry because applications where minimizing length is important. I guess they feel they don't need to meander lines and have equal distances. The whole thing about equal distancing in PCBs is really for high frequency signals, like fast signals need to be matched in their lengths, because then the resistance of the copper of the line in that signal matches the resistance of the copper line in another signal. And so if they're very quickly being yeeted across these lines, that threshold where it detects a 1 and a 0 is going to be reached at approximately the same time. Depending on, there's also things about how many turns it does and stuff like that. But then your high frequency ups and downs are arriving at the same time instead of the voltage level slowly, being slow and losing data. So that's where you need to meander lines. And meandering lines is where they do a little squiggly. You see it a lot on computer hardware because they're trying to eke everything out of it. Huh. This one's square. This one's got hex patterns, and this one is a curve. What does it even mean? High quality auto routing. No, Topor is just cursed. This reeks of the hand-drawn PCBs of yesteryear. Oh, Topor. Topor's crazy. You can talk to an LLM model about math. It might be wrong a lot. Yeah, because it's not math. It's language. It's trained on language. It's very important. Where's the cutoff point above which it's counted as high frequency? Does it have to be in the gigahertz, or does megahertz count as well? Does it have to be 100 plus megahertz, for example? Good question. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that the stuff that I do is so low frequency that I only need be mildly concerned. For instance, like when we're doing even like I2C or serial signaling, 115200 baud, I don't generally need to be concerned about meandering lines and doing stuff like that. I can just design as I feel fit what looks good. It really is just what looks good, and things will function just fine. Some people have problems with stuff like that, and you run into the problems, then we don't go high frequency enough. I've never done an RF project here that isn't just throwing like an ESP 8266 at something. I've not done anything more complicated than that. So I don't know. I don't actually know. And that's my guarantee. I'm willing to tell you guys that. What's up, Uncle Phil? Topor looks really organic. Yeah, it does. This is curve tracing, and it looks a bit like Topor, but man, having just weird angles on stuff, it's a little cursed, but it is kind of interesting to see. Whoa. We were looking at cursed circuit board layout, and we found one where it was overlapping circuits. It was several different designs on top of one another, and depending on what you populated, it would set the functionality of that block of circuitry. But they would overlap unevenly. So you'd have four PCBs with a repeated design, and in the middle there would be a design. But then on all the outlying quadrants, that design would also exist. It was tiled, but it wasn't symmetrical. And so depending on what you populated, it would do that thing, and there would be all of these extra, like extraneous, basically antennae sticking off of all of your connections. If it looks fast, it goes fast. I guess. I like my PCBs organized. I like to use the curved traces because they are aesthetically pleasing, and it really doesn't... I've never had an application where I'm concerned about whether or not the signals are all totally and completely... Oh God, it's the... Talk about putting memes on your circuit boards. Yeesh. Yeah, if you can do RGB or racing stripes, that's going to benefit your design greatly. I mean, you know, motherboard companies have been doing it for centuries. Both racing stripes and RGB. Oh God. What in the hell is going on here? This is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. We don't even have enough pixels. Look at the little meandering that they're doing down here. Blah, 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 blah. That's disgusting. Disgusting. Oh, Eagle and Topor Auto Router. Oh, this is just a question. Translate it. I have an Eagle project which I now want to use the Topor. Want to route it using Auto Router. Late version is available. Want to ask if anybody's already tried this. And then they're going to say, nope, it's not possible. You can use a ULP on the board, convert the file to DSN, and then import it with Topor. Okay. Now I just have to get to grips with the program. It's a Russian program. Yeah, so the keyboard to my right is a Code 10 keyless keyboard. And I love my Code 10 keyless. I like the feel of it, I like the weight of it, and I like the amount of money that I spent on it, because I already spent it and I'm never going to get it back. Then I spilled something on the keyboard and it completely killed it. And I think it's mainly because of the placement of the IC. It's down here in the basement with all of the water that I spilled on the keyboard. So what I did is I actually put a Pico Pi on, I glued one to, well, I taped it to the keyboard, and then I ran very small wires, a wire wrapping wire, in order to put some muxes on it because I didn't have enough pinout on this thing. And so the natural progression of that is a flexible PCB, because they're $2 each, or sorry, $2 for 5 right now. $2 for 5 for a flexi PCB, and I can put all of my muxes down, and then I can put my Pico Pi down and have it be nice and organized and wired via copper lines on a flexi PCB. So I have a display down there. I have the takeover of the two chips, which is essentially just the chip's footprint, but with cutouts around it, so that it can flex downwards and contact the pins that it's supposed to be interfacing with. I have the muxes still, even though they're called into question about whether or not they're useful. And then I have the Pico Pi. Now I could get an RP2040, just the chip, for $1, right? And then I'd have to put on all this stuff, like a voltage regulator, some kind of an I2C, EEPROM, and a clock. That's not all that much work, but I didn't want to do it. So I just put this thing down, and then I have to interface with 4 jumpers on the bottom of the PCB in order to get the boot select button and the USB connections externalized instead of internal on this board. The previous project, I had just scraped up the trace and put a wire on the USB trace. So instead, I am tapping into the test points. So those will be soldered through to there, and they will contact the PCB wiring that'll then connect it to the USB pins on the main chip over here. That's the idea. So I could make this a lot smaller. This could be much smaller if I go to the just base chip, And the base chip supposedly has enough pin out that I wouldn't need the muxes, but I'd have to kind of explore that because the number of outputs I have is kind of an incredibly large amount. So I didn't feel like doing all that work. Instead, I'm just putting the PicoPi down onto the thing like we already had working before. And we've checked it over now. All of this stuff here is a result of all of our troubleshooting. When you're designing a PCB, it's a two-dimensional design, right? It's a two-dimensional design unless you have the very special thing. Muxing is when you take something on one line of data and you switch it to several other lines of data. So you can have analog signals coming in and you can switch an analog input to multiple different outputs from other stuff. That's what muxing is. You can do it with digital signals, you can do it with analog signals. So what we're doing is we're muxing in order to switch to the different rows and columns. And because I had a bunch of these chips left over from a research project, we're using these analog muxes. So it's not ideal. It's not an ideal thing. It's just what I have. It's a very personalized project based on the very personalized modification I did to the keyboard. But I have two of these keyboards that have died in a similar way. The other one that I have is on my gaming computer. I'm still using it to this day off of the PicoPi. So building this will allow me to build up this board and get it working again, which is my spare, also the stream keyboard. And then I'll be able to put another one in my gaming keyboard. We'll have to rip up that whole circuit and do the modifications to it to get it working. But while I do offer these publicly and freely, I don't have them listed on the website at the moment. You can ask and I'll do it. I'll put it up on my GitHub. I don't think it really benefits anybody else. I don't think other people benefit this. All of my projects are so eclectic. They're very much just sort of things that I've run into. So they're talking about exporting it to Topor, huh? I would love to do a Topor design. I think that would be funny. What does it cost, though? What the? Take me back. Apparently, I clicked a lot of stuff on the way in. Topor. How to buy. This is an if you have to ask, you can't afford it. You just give us an idea. Give me an idea. We'll have to rely on Google to tell us. Topor router cost. The Freestyle router for DOS from Topor costs $950. Purchase also includes a 50% discount on the Freestyle suite. I don't think I'm going to be buying this anytime soon. I have a headphone extension cable coming in the mail, and then I will be able to run those headphones while I sit at this computer, and then I'll be able to properly tune my audio for sitting here. I know you guys probably think it sounds fine, but you're listening to it on like cell phone speakers. I need to hear it out of my sort of mid-level headphones in order to get my mix right so my voice sounds okay, so I have a little bit of bass behind my voice. All right. I'm going to wait just a little longer. Wait just a little longer for people to show up, and then we'll get started here. It's pretty steep for a program whose latest screenshot is of Windows XP. That was also an AI answer that I was going off of, and the AI answer was talking about the DOS version of it. I don't know if I want the DOS version. They said there's another version that's the free one, or the freestyle one, that's probably Windows, but it's probably Windows 3.1, and it is at a 50% discount. So I don't know how much money you're going to burn through before you get a version that you can actually use on a normal computer instead of a retro PC setup. That doesn't sound good to me. That doesn't sound good. You know what? Let's get started. I want to take stuff apart. I'm going to take this thing apart. Sounds about right for certain job-specific EE programs. I know the amount of console and green on black monochrome display that you would have in something like a board fabrication house is criminal, but that's the way it is. If the machine works, don't fix it. So the operating system of some mills and things like that are way back in the past. There's a whole industry around making modern electronics that mimic the G-code holding floppy disks that are used in some industries. And I think they are single-handedly keeping the floppy industry alive and well, the secondhand floppy disk industry. I don't want anybody's secondhand floppy. Well, the banking industry apparently is totally relying on that kind of crap, right? They made it in like the 70s and then let's run it on faster hardware, but it's the same thing. Yikes. All right, get the music out of here. You guys on YouTube are not hearing music that I'm stealing from YouTube. So let's get it down there. Let's hit pause. Let's go to the face cam. What's going on? It's Friday. It's Friday. I do not feel like doing too much brain work. I see. Okay, so 950 for the freestyle router was released in 2002 for DOS. What the heck? So I wonder how much the Windows program EM is. Working in machining, it's all old as fuck. Yeah, and it's running on 20,000 layers of dust and filings. Okay, yeah. So anyway, we're just shooting the shit here, like, right? We're just talking, right? We're just talking. We're talking. We're just talking. There's nothing illegal going on. There's nothing going on. You don't need. No, you're not looking at this. We're just talking. I want to do random stuff today. I want to take just stupid stuff apart and look at it. And then if we run out of stupid stuff to take apart, we'll go back to designing the PCB, because it's always interesting and I'm always wanting to work on it. I'm going to have a weekend with that PCB after today, so I will probably get it done. It'll probably be done by the end of the weekend because I can't stop myself. It's that or I obsess over abiotic factor and rearrange little things in my base. I need to go through the list of like things in the game, like the cooking recipes and the different like SCP creatures and stuff like that you learn about. I need to figure out how to learn about all of them and complete those lists. Why? Because it's a good game and I can't put it down, and I want to put it down, but I tried to play Infra for a little while and I got very, very annoyed at Infra, because on Infra you are going into like an industrial site, which is fascinating. It's freaking cool. And you're trying to get everything working again, right? And document its decay. But the problem is when you go to get something working again, there's no operating manual. There would be an operating manual for all this stuff. Sometimes maybe there is, but not a lot of the time. And so you're expected to just kind of off the cuff know how to think like an industrial engineer. I don't know how to do that, and so I miss everything. I looked at a guide and they're like, oh, and you should see the geocache. Geo what? I haven't seen a single one of these the entire game. Oh, there it is. It's under a sign. It's a walking around simulator, and you're supposed to be the most detail-oriented person in the entire world without any training. And so there needs to be a little bit of training about the stuff that you can interact with. Infra is good fun. I've played it and it's a good laugh. I've had a good time with it and some of the little silly shit that you could do. But it frustrated me to no end because I hated feeling so dumb about what I was doing. Do I close this? Okay, I close this valve. Oh, but if I open this valve, I die. Like, god damn. Okay, anyway, just rambling about things that are supposed to speak to my soul as an engineer, but they don't, because I'm too much of an engineer, and it unfortunately missed my soul by a little bit and grazed it, leaving it damaged. Yeah, so Fridays, like, typically I do like teardown streams. I want to take something apart. I want to figure out how it works. I want to look at the PCB design, and I want to get inspiration from it. I love doing that because it influences our decisions when it actually get, time for rubber to meet the road. We can say, I've seen somebody that did this before, or I've seen it done this way before. I don't know why, but I'll do it in a similar way. A lot of the decisions in PCB design on our level are done for aesthetics. That's it. It's just aesthetics. There's some electrical considerations. Maybe in a corner case, you could run into a problem with XYZ, but a lot of it is aesthetic. And one of the things that one of the eggs that I would like to crack is figuring out, where do I need to put capacitors? Do I really need all of these capacitors? Why are we putting all these capacitors into the design? Because when we do the perforated prototyping board, we don't care about capacitors. When I'm doing my bullshit little projects over here, I'm not worried about somebody who is sitting in the middle of a fucking microwave trying to run our device, because I wouldn't run it there, but somebody might, and they might go, there's a lot of interference in this product. Like, so I don't know what I'm doing. And maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out. When we get the mixer board built, we can put it into our test Eurorack setup, and we can hit it with a bunch of different frequencies that we determine. And we can see how it performs running a normal pair of headphones. And maybe I'll get buzzing in a channel, and I can defeat that with a capacitor. That's sort of the thing. Now, I bought this. This is where we're starting today. I bought this thing. I actually think this is probably going to be the more interesting thing that we look at. But I bought this little doohickey when we were doing the ghost hunting stream. And I guess it got delayed in its shipping. And somehow this ended up in my bag. And so when I opened up my bag, the bag where I bring stuff in and out of, I don't know, places, mostly doctor's office with, I found this thing, Eric Hill RT100. Or maybe RT100 is what the indicator is indicating. I'm not sure. This thing is an electromagnetic radiation tester. The unit electric field, V per volt per meter? That doesn't make sense. Magnetic field, micro Tesla. That's probably a Tesla, right? Micro Tesla. Precision electric field, 1 volt per M. I don't think that means 1 volt per meter, does it? 0.01 electric field. So this thing does magnetic sensors, huh? Now, I was playing with this earlier. We did actually see a Bluetooth signal detected by it. This thing seems to think there's like a dangerous level of electromagnetic radiation, although 60 V per M is a lower reading than we've gotten before. Average or volt per pp. And then the units can change over here. So our units are microtesla, milligauss, V per M. I think that's a different, I think I'm interpreting that one wrong. I don't want it to be average. On the pp. 53 volt per meter. Why is it on warning though? It's not nominal? 55 does not seem, so here I've got a magnet. Oh, suddenly 55 is okay. Here's a powerful magnet. The unit for electrical field is indeed volt per meter. Oh, okay, so it is actually intuitive. Here's a big old magnet. Oh my God. 1 microtesla. 14. It's a magnetic storm. We've got a magnetic warning in place. It looks like it looks for a changing magnetic field, not a static field. This is like, holy shit, you're all gonna die. It's a sunspot crisis. So I wanted to look at the, oh God, this thing's going nuts. I wanted to look at the antenna in this thing and the chips that they're using. Yeah, let me get a bolt. I got a bolt. Let's see. Okay. I don't think the bolt thing does, I don't know. I think that maybe just the game. I haven't gotten back to playing, by the way. I've been meaning to play Stalk It or 2, but I have not played a lot of it. I didn't get back to it. I played like half of the intro. And while it looks very fun, I had other games, Abiotic Factor, that were calling to me at the time. Okay, I think we're safe. Nothing seems to be happening when I do that. I'm supposed to, the reason I'm saving these big bolts, these aren't that big, but they're big enough that I could use them to put feet on my gun safe in the back, in the unfinished part of the basement. I have the safe sitting there, but it's sitting directly on the floor, which I guess is good for keeping mice from getting under it, but I still want it to be on 4 little feet because I don't like it getting scratched up on the concrete floors in the other part of the basement. So I need to get the feet that originally came with this desk and put that on them. All right, so let's, oh God, it's not letting go of this 44. I'm so sorry. Let's go back to average. There we go. You can calm down now. So it's average and VPP. I guess it doesn't have, because that was measuring maximum. Huh. It doesn't have like a rolling thing. All right, well, let's see what's made out of. Bonk. We've got just Phillips head screws, I think. When getting into a device, yeah, I need to know what my wireless VPP, how big it is. So just Phillips head screws. That's interesting for this. Usually you'd find like a security screw of some kind, and I really wish I could find a device. I really wish I could find a device that has those Torx security screws. Or maybe I can find a Torx security screw in my bin and I can make a little block as an example. Hold on. We're shaving yak number 1. Yak number 1. I gotta look through my screw collection and find a good example of a security Torx because I've talked about this several times over the past couple months and it would be good to have something sitting on the desk. Ooh, I gotta stretch my legs. You guys been sitting down for a long time? Stretch them legs! And put on some compression socks because you'll look good in them. If you're sitting for a long amount of time at your job, you may consider looking at compression socks to help your body keep water from pooling. That's what I was told by a medical professional friend and also by my doctor because my feet swolled up. I've been wearing compression socks for a long time now. Somewhere in here, I have to have saved a security Torx. I have to have. Have to have. Has to have. Saved a security Torx. I want that little nubbin in the middle, and I want it to be very visible. And then I can show my system of defeating them. If you're designing a product, and you want to put in a security screw, you should know how absolutely dog shit security Torx are. They are beyond useless. This is a regular Torx, so there's no little nub in the middle. Have to have. Ace to ace. See, Torx screws happen to meet up with Phillips head standards. And so you can stick flathead standards. You can stick an ancient flathead screwdriver. Haha, flathead, it is just a chisel. All of my screws are from the 21st century. I have no use for your stupid flathead, your frustrating screw. But, however, you can actually use them to get rid of security Torx. You get enough torque on the little nubs of the torque head, and you avoid the middle. So I'm trying to find one that looks like that, basically, that has a nub in the middle. And I can put that aside. Maybe I can screw it into a block of wood or something. And then I will have an example that I can bring up the next time I have that little tangent about security Torx. I know this isn't what's on the title. I'm getting distracted today. It's Friday. We're allowed to get distracted on Friday. Friday, when I worked in industry, Friday was a day to like clean up your desk, make sure that you're ready for the next week's set of things that'll drop in on us. So we would do a lot of neatening up on Fridays. How about you? I thought I saw one. And then I buried it by digging too hard. It was a black screw, so it was hard to see. Is this one? Damn. Nope. I could have sworn. SI units are fantastic. 1 V over M equals 1 kilogram meter per amp squared cube per amp cubed per amp AS cubed. What the hell? Good Lord. You're like, yeah, that volt there, that's equal to this many atoms. That's a quark. 1 quark. So this could be it, although this one is kind of exaggerated in its size. Seconds cubed. Oh my God. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm looking for a security torques right now so that I can make a little example for when we take stuff apart and I talk about how absolutely terrible security torques are. I'd like to get one or even a variety, and I'll put them into the Ertlurker block. The Ertlurker block is a block of wood that has been featured on the show far more than it has any right to be. It's a little tiny cutoff of a test board that we used to burn the subs up and running. Burn the subs required a lot of sort of small unit tests in order to figure out whether or not what I was doing is feasible. Can I use a blue laser to etch? How much smoke am I going to create? Can I get the XY stuff to work properly? All those questions were answered on a bunch of pine boards that I sacrificed to the cause. And so we ended up burning random names of people in chat onto these boards. And so a lot of them have this graffiti on it. And this one has the part of Shortlurker's name, the center part of Shortlurker's name etched into it. So it's the Ertlurker block. It's actually right here. Ertlurker. So I can probably use the reverse side of this, and I can put a bunch of Torx screws into it as an example of how bad Torx screws are at security. If it doesn't split the pine. They're so bad. All right, another security Torx bit, please. Garçon, more Torx bits. Plus the fact that all the Torx bit sets just come with security Torx as default. I wonder if I should do pour it out and do a one side to the other kind of comparison where we look at each one individually, but we're not looking at the same ones over and over again. That might benefit a little bit. Now that's a secure screw. Yes, sir. Nobody's getting to that one. Oh no, they were instantly defeated. It's not looking good. I guess I don't really hold on to the security bits. Unless I move them to a special bin, which would be the other screw bin. Let's check the other screw bin. Herc. Let's see, alternate screws. I believe are this one. No, that's not it. One of these bins over here. This one has a lot of weird stuff in it. If you talk to Torx, the company that makes Torx bits and screws, they will convince you in 1,000 words or less that Torx is in fact the superior fastener in every way. Right? They think that the nubs are better at handling torque than any other fastener, because the Phillips head, this is like watching The Lord of the Rings, and Aragorn kicks the fucking helmet, right? Everybody will speak up and tell you this. He broke his toe when he clicked that. Did you know that? This is the Torx bit lore is exactly like that. Or the Phillips head, rather. The Phillips head lore is exactly like that. The Phillips head was designed originally to cam out when there was enough torque on it. So it would just go pop and you, okay, oh, it's tight enough. That's not really what we use them for anymore. And there's like 1,001 alternative designs that sort of invalidate that at this point. But they were originally made to cam out. And then flatheads are just incredibly frustrating because you can never get them centered. So that leaves the Torx bit as the superior torque bit. I don't know about versus a hex bolt. I don't know about versus a, what is it, a cap head hex or an external hex or whatever you call it. Either way, I have not seen any, comparisons between the fasteners. I'm sure that they exist, though. I'm sure there's scientific papers about it. Yeah, looks like all my alternates aren't security Torx. Are there any over here? Those are other stuff. I don't remember what those are for, actually. Hey, you do you. I'm not worried. Appreciate you. I got that song stuck in my head. That album is so fresh. It came out in 2021, I think. It's still fresh. All right, I'm not seeing any more security Torx, so this will be on hold. I'll just put this to the side, and this will be our security Torx example. So I can bring this up when I need to and say, well, although this is very much in there and it's supposed to keep you from being able to untighten the bolt, it is defeated by the oldest form of screwdriver, the flathead. Because of the little nubs and because of that little nub in the middle, you have 3 points of contact that can you torque against. And so it is actually just as good screwing and unscrewing as a normal bolt if you have the right tool, which is a flathead screwdriver. Although, to be fair, the iFixit kit comes with security Torx bolts by default. So I could just use one of these and it would do the exact same thing if I had the right size. But still, I mean, just a normal flathead screwdriver, always, by the way, always, I have not found a security Torx that I could not loosen with a normal flathead screwdriver. I have yet to meet it. It might exist, but that makes a perfect amount of torque right there. So I want to have that example up because I brought it up a couple times and I didn't know if I could find a fastener to display it on. So we're going to use the Ertlarker block, and I'll find some alternatives too as they come up. Yeah, that's also the security mantra. There's no such a thing as secure. It's only secure for an amount of time. All right, let me get this back. I got to make sure to put stuff away today because when we do taking apart streams, things get out of control. Stuff everywhere. I do have to think about how I can reach a broader audience because, we've had very samey numbers over the past year. 2024 was a very kind of 30 to 60 people kind of year. And it'd be nice to branch out. And I've been doing little things to try. I did all those YouTube uploads and I got some new people in here. We've got a decently active chat for the amount of people that watch, but I would like to get more people in. They say short form content is all the rage. I hate to play into that because I think it's the downfall of society. I mean, if I do bother shorts and I show off the Torx bit thing, maybe, but it's like my projects are tough. We have a hard time of things, and I don't want to give the illusion that it doesn't take work to do this kind of stuff. More flashing lights. All I have to do is turn this thing on, and then we have beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, 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 flashing lights, flashing lights. I was thinking of taking the lights in here and replacing them with Tasmota lights, and I could control those with Node Red. And so if somebody subs, we could do the whole casino thing, the ding, 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 and all that stuff that's supposed to subtly tell the medulla oblongata that it's done good and release dopamine. Yeah, I don't know. I do need to redesign all the visuals on the stream. I'll maybe at one point I'll have a bug in my butt about it. Probably once Burn the Subs goes up, I need to do a little bit of work into that. And then I can do a little promotion on Burn the Subs, I guess. But the last time with the last Burn the Subs, I was like, yeah, hey, Hackaday, guys, hey, how's it going, Hackaday? Yeah, I used to write for you guys. I'm one of you. Here's a project that I worked on. And they ignored it. So that was cool. That was pretty cool. What the hell? It's not. There's like, okay. So I've taken out the screws. What else do you want from me? It seems that there's stuff snapped together to make this thing. Like this is a slightly rubbery plastic right here. So maybe I need to pry those off because there's a cap on it too. This is also a separate piece. Back to the trusty flathead. Snapped and welded and screwed. God, it's the worst combination of all of them. These are welded together. They're plastic welded. Plastic welding, if you guys don't know, plastic welding is if you take two pieces of plastic and you put them up against one another and you vibrate them really high frequencies, so piezoelectric frequencies. You take two things, you press them together, you piezoelectrically shake them, they will create friction, and that friction gets the chains of the MERS, of the polymer, multiple MER, so the chains of the MERS will actually sort of get into each other and create a weld. The plastic will soften and weld together, and it'll create a seam that is sometimes stronger than the plastic itself. They're very annoying to deal with. They're hard to work on stuff with. It's a one-time only removal of a thing if you have to do that. In this case, we're probably dealing with snaps. Although that's not really budging. How'd you guys put this thing together? This is a very interesting design now. Now this is a lesson in product design. I've never heard it called vibro weld, although all the components are there. All the components of how it's put together are in that word. These are getting loose. My knobs are getting loose. Tighten them up a little bit. I'm running low on spudging tools that aren't going to cut my arm off. I hate this stand. I really do. I need to 3D print something that's a little bit more robust than this stupid fucking stand that comes with the Stream Deck. It's the worst because as soon as you touch it, it just goes and then all your stand is no longer standing. As soon as you hit it, it just collapses. I'm surprised that it holds up with me pressing it from the front. And there it goes. It falls off again. I have a feeling. Hold on. It's a limp stand. It's like kicking an old man's cane out from under him. Stream Deck. Streamer, when are you going to Stream Deck? That one holds two. I have two, but I use the other one on my other computer, so that would be kind of neat. I need to get the XL working with this computer. It doesn't like my USB extensions. Oh, look at that, using a Stream Deck and a 3D mouse. I have both of those things. That's quite cute, because then you could have way more functions on your 3D mouse. The 3D mouse is somewhat limiting because you've got hands on a mouse and a 3D mouse. Where's the computer? Yeah, I have one of these space mice. It's sitting over there. I'm looking at it right now. It's collecting dust. 3D mouse sucks. It's pretty cool for like Kerbal if you need to dock. And it's nice. It's not bad in CAD if you want to do like a walkthrough of a design. It just lacks functionality in buttons, and so this kind of helps solve that problem. It probably doesn't do a great job because I mean just using the keyboard is fine. So, but I'm just looking to see if there's a nice simple stand that I can throw this thing on. Why would you just get an XL? Jeez. And then one thing that I see constantly, it's a project that constantly gets posted to my Discord, is people making their own Stream Decks. Oh, that one looks even cooler. Apparently a space mouse and a Stream Deck is not an uncommon thing. I wonder why. Is that for like a 3D VTuber maybe? That's just nonsensical. Why would you do it in the other order? Because your fingies poke out of the mouse and hit the buttons. What is that accomplishing? I mean, maybe if I had the Kinect doing like a dot field streamer avatar, then I could use this to fly the view of the avatar around when I'm streaming. That would be kind of neat. It's not something that I really want to do right now, though. Controllers, nobody asked for this. Why are you doing this? That sits up on a keyboard. Various desk mounts. All I want is a replacement for this flimsy fucking triangle thing. And I think we already rolled over a couple of them while we were being distracted. So I guess I could probably spool up a print. So, Stream Deck with Raspberry Pi Pico. Not what I wanted. Hey, we got a sub. Boop. Ayademi, thank you for subbing for 5 months. 5 months of Ayademi. Hey, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So this is like a 3D printer mount. I don't know why Stream Deck is such a strange product. It's good for quickly figuring out what buttons you want to press. The buttons can also be in folders. And so I have it set up for my stream for different functionalities. Like if I want to break out and I don't have the keyboard right in front of me, the keyboard and mouse right in front of me, I can go to scenes, and then these are all of my OBS scenes. So I could go to the spring arm scene, I can go to the only the burn the sub scene. This would be to look at Willow, but instead you're looking at my alcoholism because there's 2 Sunny D vodka empties sitting right there. I probably should have chosen a better camera. Anyway, back to the spring arm here to see the Stream Deck. And so I can bust out of that folder, and then we're in my initial setup folder where I have arm focus, burn the subs focus, face and game face. This is face, this is game face. That's how I do the comedy bit, is it's just a totally different scene. Sark has one that's even closer, and I was thinking of stealing that joke from him, but I probably shouldn't because I love Sark. I love his streams. Like I said, I get around. Demi, thank you. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with the Stream Deck. Then if I need to do my setup, I go into the setup here. This has all of the calibrations for cameras, start up OBS, open the web pages, stuff like that. And then over here, I have overlays. So if I want to initiate walkies, do a tech issue, that's the van. This is the tech issue. That's just a temporary tech issue. I can do all that stuff from here, right? I can do the freak show. Oh, he's not in the scene. Okay, never mind. That also has the rack view camera and stuff like that. Or if I want to do the Kappa joke. But the Kappa joke is very funny. It's one of the funniest jokes that I have. Because you can pop up I'm not being sarcastic. Hey. Yeah, anyway. Then I have the pumpkin. Then I have the pumpkin that gets me a copyright strike. Although actually, you guys can't hear that in the VOD. It'll just mute it. But it'll probably mute everybody, so. Okay, anyway, yeah, that's what I use the Stream Deck for. Using it while like 3D, designing something in 3D, I guess. Oh yeah, it's got a great transparent background. It's one of the best ones I've ever seen. Like, why would you put the 3D mouse with that? I guess it would be for CAD functions. Because the Stream Deck does more than just like an auto hotkey. It'll do much more comprehensive things. Like, I've wanted to use it for a little while. I wanted to get it working with rearranging the windows on the screen so that I can start up my computer, hit a button on the Stream Deck, and then boom, we're ready with all the windows the way they are right now. Instead, at the beginning of stream, I have to do a lot of rearranging. So I don't know where the Space Mouse comes into this. I guess just to do CAD program functions. It's kind of fascinating. And they're all using the Space Mouse that I have, which is the little one. Huh. Well, I'll have to look at this some other time. This is all just so that I can hold up my Stream Deck without it falling over on me. Seems like this one is probably the best bet. Vertical desk stand. That does not look like it holds on to it all that well. I mean, I guess that's all. Well, this one has like a little lip in the front. You ever try Fancy Zones or Window Power Tools? I tried Window Power Tools 1.5 million years ago. It was on like Windows XP. I tried it. I travel with my booty on a yoga ball. I don't know why I said that with such rhythm. You could maybe use the Kinect to do that. I don't know. So I'm having trouble getting into this thing. We know where the seams are, but it seems like this thing was really kind of snapped together, huh? If I could get a large spudger in there, I could pop it open. This is just a little exercise to see how this thing works. I want to see what the antenna looks like. It's probably got an inverted planar F of some kind. And if you don't know what that is, I think there's a exclamation point antenna command where you can find the website that brilliantly explains all this stuff in a very early website manner. I'm looking for a good spudger up here. I don't know if I have one. It's a wonderful website. It's Antenna Theory, Antenna-Theory, and there's just all kinds of good information, and I've sort of internalized some of it. Makes you dangerous. But the inverted planar F antenna is a common PCB antenna, because if you put your antenna as a structure of the copper on the PCB, it is very, very cheap indeed. You don't need to worry about wires. You don't need to worry about lengths. You just throw that antenna onto the PCB, and it does a good enough job. Yeah, is pooping the original 3D printing? I think it is. Oh my God, this is not working. We're in. Ugh, God damn it. It is not separating layers. It is simply bending the tool. These are fairly cheap clay working tools. They're not meant for sort of this level. And this is just not giving up anything. It's not coming out. They did some crazy snaps with this thing. Ow. I'm going to ruin my nails on it too. Why is this going to defeat me? I'm usually not easily defeated by these things. These usually don't get me like this. I could try spudging this, but it'll just break the plastic more. I think this needs to relent somehow, this rubbery piece. That is just not happening. What is going on? Get the hammer. KO. Plastic box wins. The vise is going to be the next stage of this. You crush stuff in a vise just gently, and it starts to relent. I don't want to break the screen though. We're better than that. We're better than that. We can get into this. We will have to destroy these when we get into them. We're better than that. Although the hammer might get involved in a little bit here. The professional spudger, I think, is on the floor. Yeah, it's right there. Let's see if this will get in. Give him the clamps, boss. You want me to give him the clamps? The problem is, like, I'm way softer than all this stuff, and I really don't want to slice my hand open. I need to put a certain amount of force into this in order to get it to start to sort of give up the ghost. But then at the same time, I don't want that amount of force is going to lead to some kind of a perforation in my body. So I got to be careful about the amount of force that I'm putting into these, and whether or not this is actually the way to disassemble a device like this. Is there something else that I missed? Is there a screw underneath a label? Is there... No, there isn't. Why use the screws at all? What was the purpose of these 4 screws, if not just to mislead me into thinking that I can disassemble this thing properly? What are we breaking? This is a electromagnetic radiation tester. I bought it when I was doing those ghost streams of ghost tools that are completely misleading. They're just 2.4 gigahertz detectors. So these things over here. Hey, what's up, Walrus? How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. I had... Where is that thing? Some kind of thing over here. This is maybe down here. Maybe I threw it out. Oh no, I had this thing. We took this thing apart and we fully reverse engineered it, so we know exactly how the circuit works. And basically what's going on is it's is that, which one is that? Is that, that's not Buck, that's Bed Banana. I like the Bed Banana emotes. The Buck emotes are fun too. They're a little bit more unhinged. And also Buck is a fellow diabetic. But yeah, those are the Bed ones. Bed redesigned his whole stream to have the cat as like a theme, and it's awesome. I love it. I love it. So anyway, this thing has been featured on a lot of ghost hunting shows. This is a no brand. It's a white label product. So whatever brand you're buying is just somebody who decided to slap a name on it. There's the Rabaz L-emote. I don't have batteries in it right now. But what this thing does is this has a 2.4 gigahertz antenna in it. What is that? Who's that? I gotta go over to the other screen to test who's. That ain't which Jesse Cox. Wait, when did he get it? Like Cthulhu? I haven't heard hail or high water from Jesse Cox in a little while. I used to hear him on D&D streams, but I'm not watching all that stuff anymore. 2.4 gigahertz antenna. You amplify, 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 and on the way of your amplification, you throw out some LEDs, and that will give you a derailing me with emotes. That will give you a like an RF strength detector, right? It's a very sensitive RF strength detector because you're amplifying a very weak signal. And so if you get the antenna's length is the size of a fraction of the wavelength of 2.4 gigahertz, which is very common. So you use this as a ghost hunting device because it's the same thing with audio anomalies. You turn the volume all the way up and you get white noise. So that's what this is doing. Although this could be used as slightly functional if you're looking for your 2.4 gigahertz antenna that's outputting. You could maybe find it with this thing. You go, oh, well, let's go close over here. Maybe it's over here. Other than that, there's not really, it's not a directional antenna. It's just going for area-wide stuff. So it's not really all that effective of a tool. It's more of a curiosity. It's fun. You go, oh, it's 2.4 gigahertz. But then ghost hunters appropriated this thing and said, there's a paranormal activity. Look, the LEDs are moving as if my phone is trying to get a connection. So, or a microwave has been turned on somewhere. So yeah, that's what these ghost hunting tools apparently end up being. So I bought this guy to test it out, just looking for my router. Yeah, my router's somewhere out here in the woods. To test it out, take a look at the antenna. It is difficult to get into, though. Where are you? Who? It's more Charlie Cox, Jesse Cox. Sorry, I said Charlie. Okay, all right. Big pliers might be the next step here, because I'm too much of a wimp. The damn ghosts all have mobile phones. Yeah, that's the thing. Ghost hunter here puts mobile phone in his pocket. Whoa, we're getting all these signals in this area. I'm gonna get a pair of channel locks. Yeah, channel locks. That's all. That's the big tool I have. The rest of my big tools are actually outside. They're with my tool bin. I'm telling you guys where my gun safe is and where my toolkit is. I'm gonna get fucking robbed. You guys are gonna fucking rob me. You'll know where everything is. I'm gonna use this, and we're just gonna like hit the end with a big wrench and see if we can't break off that end. I really don't want to damage the screen, so I gotta be careful about the ugga-dugga force that I'm putting into this thing. Ha! Look at that. See? I know what I'm doing. I may bring in a rusty wrench that looks like I should be using it as a melee weapon instead of an actual tool. These are good to have, by the way. These are very good at tightening pipes that you don't care about scratching. I'm telling you, I know what I'm doing out here. Fuck off, ghost.. Yeah, these things are awesome. So, I mean, it's really just that I'm too weak and spongy to undo these little snaps. Well, I'm going to hurt myself if I keep doing that. And I just applied, you know, ugga-dugga force to the thing to pop it off of its little snaps. These things are built to go together, not to come apart. I'm professional enough to be confident on Twitch. That is a scratched up antenna, and that was not my doing. But we have a big flat antenna on the front of that thing. That's fascinating. So it is actually directional to a degree. It's looking in front of it like a tricorder. Fascinating. All right, so that's that one. Now, the two ends are not going to, oh, okay, they are going to cooperate. So those can just come apart. It's just that end cap that we had to remove. You see, there's a little bit of drama early on where you go, bother will never be able to get into this thing without completely destroying it. And we waffle around on that for a little bit. We sort of wallow in our sorrows, and we think this will never happen today. I'm going to have to just completely destroy this thing in order to get it apart. This is what always happens during these disassembly streams, and then we find the key to the whole thing. And in this case, it was popping off of the top cap. Popping off the top cap couldn't happen because my tools are weak. They're nerd tools. They're not cool guy tools like plumbing. Plumbing is all cool guys. So unfortunately, I couldn't get it until I went and got my cool guy tool and popped off the top without damaging anything else. Although in forensics, if I were working a case that was under the American legal system, this would be absolutely ridiculous to think about using. There's some other kind of tool that I probably could have used. Absolutely just out of the question. Now, if it were back in the IED days, this would almost be acceptable because the legal processes are different. Still have to wear gloves while doing it, but I like waffles. Well, that's good to know. We'll note that down. The ghosts also seem to use, ooh, who are you calling ghosts? What a horrible comment. No, I'm just kidding. Ghosts also seem to use 868 megahertz band. 868, what's on 868? Amazing how they got together and decided to operate on public remote control frequency bands. 868, is that like rail stuff? You have to wear gloves and the wrench would be slightly less rusty. It wouldn't be a wrench, it might have been a vise, and it might have been a better gripping tool that could pull off the end of this without doing a lot of damage to the plastic. We still did damage to the things that we had to analyze quite a bit, and you would note it down in the ledger of where the thing passed hands and stuff like that. That was one thing we kept track of, but since it wasn't like an American legal case, we could handle them with cotton gloves. The chain of evidence was maintained in book form, but it wasn't as strict, and we were able to do a little bit more destructive stuff to the things if we needed to. That's a lot of damage. I think Flex Seal would do just fine. This thing will snap back on, so. These weak nerd tools. I'm going to give them a swirly. Bada bing. So we got a lithium-ion battery, which is conveniently in a very battery door location. This is a very battery door kind of location. I think maybe they took a battery door design and decided to give it a rechargeable battery. So I could desolder this. These wires are going to walk if I'm not careful. But we do have all the information we need. I'm sure the other side of the circuit board is a lot less boring. So let's just keep these together and take a look at them this way. And I'll try not to flex these because there's no... I had leftover fajita mix, which is a bunch of spices and mildly tomatoey sauce. The heartburn is going to be real today. Okay, so why isn't this one coming with me? Give me this. Give me the thing. Come on. Jeez, rubber. These are very tough rubber. This detail, this could be plastic. This could be regular plastic, and this device would be exactly the same as it is right now. They decided to give it little slightly rubbly grips, but they're not that rubbly, so you can't really make heads or tails of whether or not this is plastic or coated plastic, but it is actually all sort of a flexy rubber. It doesn't need to be. There's no reason I need grips here that aren't just slippery plastic. It's so weird. Why did they go to this detail? Maybe they just bought the enclosure. Leftover fajita mix, no need for fart box today. It was chicken fajitas. There's nothing but peppers in them. It's not that challenging for the GI tract. Yeah, good old reflux. I don't think the seltzer helps. I don't think that helps. Why would I fart from fajita? How weird are your... You guys have some sensitive digestive systems, I'll tell you something. It's like when everybody talks about Taco Bell causing you to fart your brains out. It's fine if you've got a normal septic digestive system like I've got. It's like a bioreactor down there. You need grips when you find those ghosts. You're going to get scared and sweaty. Okay, that's true. You've got a point. You have a good point. That's actually a good point. When the ghosts start popping, you're going to want that grip. Oh, ho, ho, my old friend. My old friend Sandpaper. So you've decided to come here as well. You and your sandpapery ways, removing all hopes of identifying chips. I see now. Motherfuckers. They scratched all the chips, except for this one, which I'm guessing is a voltage regulator. 06280A. Yeah, that could be laser. It is undoubtedly, yeah, because look at the cutoff. That's laser. You got a cutoff, you got a burn, and you got like a square area for it. Motherfuckers. I really want to know what this thing is. Now, in this instance, the circuit layout, and I really wish there was a way that we could search based on pinout for chips, because this is all 0603 and SO sized chips. So as a reverse engineer, as a reverse engineer, we can go through and we can look at what chips are where. They did not hide from us. Here, let me get my pointing. I'm going to get my pointing tool. They did not hide from us effectively where pin 1 is. So we can say that pin 1 goes to something, pin 2 goes to something, pin 3, and we can piece this together in a schematic, and then we can go over the schematic bit by bit and rearrange things as we see fit until we get what this chip is. Now, it does look like it's some kind of an amplifier. This looks like an amplifier circuit where you'd have an input through a resistor that goes to one pin, and then you've got your feedback resistor and a feedback capacitor as a high-frequency cutoff that goes to another pin that's your output. And then we happen to have a test point right here. We are blocking DC with a capacitor, and we go through another resistor and off into La La Land. No, I'm going with op amp on this. This looks like op amp, although maybe it's not. What is happening there? Weird. Father loves these. I'm pretty sure it's his favorite IC. This just means they were trying to hide stuff from us, and so it's a direct challenge to my skills. Although we're not really going to be able to get to the bottom of this. I don't really think we're going to be able to piece this apart completely. Yeah, there's a big inductor, and then maybe we're amplifying whatever's coming out of that big inductor. Although, for our intents and purposes, we have... Oh, yeah, this is L1. Look at that. L1. It's a big, stinky inductor that's sitting a little bit above this big plate, this big sheet of copper. This thing is not... This thing is for the magnetic energy. This is for the RF. Because we've got it in an antenna configured. It's not like it's going through. So it's like a... This is like a big inverted planar F that's just been thrown on its side. Dissolve chips and look at the dies. What's that going to tell you, though? Looking at the die, look, I can't read dies. And it's DIE, by the way. It's dielectric. I used to think it was DYE because they use the die process to put the etchant on. Nope, they don't do. No, it's DIE, is dielectric. Dissolving chips sounds like fun. Use hydrofluoric acid. You put a dot of it in the middle, and it will dissolve down to the substrate, which is, I think there's a little bit of an air gap there for all the gold bonding wires that bond it to the outer pins. So if you put the hydrochloric acid, boom, right in the middle. That'll eat down, and then you stop it with a some kind of a base. I think Tube Time does it. I'll have to check that out sometime. Eat the chip, check your poop. Shut up, Tins. That's too accurate. Dual op amps are very characteristic because they copy paste the pattern. Yeah, because you're just changing the value of the amplification stage. You're not going to change the design of the thing. Hydrofluoric wouldn't touch that. Yeah, it kind of gets into your bones, doesn't it? This thing is going to be doing, yeah, 2 chips, huh? Sorry, burping. Burping fajita. I'm going in hot. Well, okay, here's something. What chip manufacturer uses OCD-CK and OCD-DA? OCD-CA and OCD-CA, OCD-DA. OCD-CA and OCD-DA. Whew. That was a tough one to get through. Because then you would get to know the micros a little bit better. Because that's the unique part. VSS, VDD, reset, those are normal. And then this one is communicating down, 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 diggity down to this. Probably BMIC. I'm guessing this one is battery management. Why they would want to keep their battery manager a secret is beyond me. I think this is criminal. This should be persecuted. It's for overclocking your duck. OCDCK. Okay, all right. Yeah, no, yeah, that's accurate. 620BA. Let's look that up. And that's SOD 223. Oh, I forgot all the numbers. 6208A. SOT 223. LR 6028. Positive voltage regulator manufactured by CMOS Technology. But your Lishan radio, high ripple rejection, ultra fast, blah, 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 all the things that they list on every single voltage regulator in existence. They all say this. They all have this. 80 microamps quiescent. I wonder what, we could do a calculation on this to figure out when it would discharge the battery. 1.1 to 5 volts. So it's got a range, high accuracy. All of them talk about this all the same. How much current? 800 milliamps. So that's a decent chunk of current for a thing to use. For the thing you think is a BMS, look up the data sheet for the TP4056. We'll do that. TP407, do not use the TP406 to charge. Wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Standalone linear battery charger. Why do I sound like Skarsgård for a second there? I don't know why. From, I guess, a rotund gentleman to another rotund gentleman, I could do the Skarsgård accent. Temp 1 CE. Let's see, standby charge. This would be charged? That doesn't make sense. No. Wait, no, that's pin 7 is standby and charge. Where's our VBAT? Pin 5 is VBAT. Call Sparks? Spark. Come on, Spark. I don't think that's a VBAT. How do you set the range on something like that? It depends on the topology of the circuit, and there's various ways that various manufacturers do it. Usually it's with a feedback. So they will tell you how to do this. So if I go down here to the suggested application, and again, when we're reverse engineering stuff, 99.9999999% of the time, the manufacturer of the device you're reverse engineering follows the data sheet to the T. They want exactly the specs that they put into their engineering, and they get it by following exactly the circuit that is called for on the data sheet. Okay, we don't have a white paper on this one. Oh, here's some circuits. Capacitor in, capacitor out, capacitor in, capacitor out. Typical application, general series regulator may oscillate depending on the external components used. A programmable regulator will generally have another input. Sometimes they do it by like a feedback current, and it just requires like a resistor divider on the output, and that'll give you the voltage that you're looking for. Sometimes, like with the LM1117, the non-adjustable ones, you can buy a specific version of the 1117 that does the voltage that you want it to do. You can also buy the adjustable one, and that'll use like another pin to have like feedback come back into the regulator. Nuvoton microprocessor. Nuvoton. Welcome to Nuvoton. Oh, they're 8051 based. Everybody uses this 8051, huh? AI. Oh, God. So it's begun. All these manufacturers are, how can we get into AI? Rate your experience on just opening the page a second ago. Products, micros, I don't know, ARM Cortex, 8-bit KM101. Let's look at the 8051s. Yes, I understand what's going on completely. I'm just clicking around. I don't think I'm gonna find anything too pertinent. Yeah, exactly. It's like, welcome to our website. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think about it? Hey, what do you think? What do you think? Did we do good? Not interested. Bunch of bullshit. Obviously, this is not the chip that we have, but we have UART, PMO. I'm just randomly clicking. I'm just getting an idea of what this place is. So this one doesn't use that specific terminology, but yeah, maybe they have an application-specific ASGHC, application-specific ghost hunting chip. All right, well, anyway, supposedly they're the ones that use that nomenclature on their stuff. I could go through there for hours and hours and find a potential match for a microcontroller, but I don't really think that's going to be necessary. So this is our adjustable regulator. I don't know the rest of the circuits, so this says 33 as the back of its part number. So I would wager a guess that we have 6028. A is the package, the physical package of this thing. 2149 would be a lot number so that they can do a recall if they need to. And then 33 is 3.3 volts. I am assuming that the other one's a battery management IC, although what's our circuit path here? Boop, 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 into boop, boop, boop. So this is boop coming from here. Boop, boop. So they might have some kind of a fancy O-ring circuit. The SS12 diode coming out of boop. And then we go up into pin 4 of this thing. So in the package information for the TP4056, pin 4 is VCC, pin 5 is VBAT. But I don't see VBAT is over here unless that via goes somewhere over here. There's a big capacitor on it, so I mean, that may stand to reason. A big cap here, this dead end. Perhaps this goes over to here. Maybe, but I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what they have. If it's super duper common, they use this stuff, but that's kind of a Hail Mary. Okay, so that's that. And we may have a family of ICs. Everything else is sort of up in the air. What is this one? This is from a 60. This is from the mixer. Um, yeah, so I'd wager this is some kind of a battery management IC. I don't know what's going on up here, but the TP4056 is the 555 of BMS chips, so you're going to find it in just about everything. I can't believe this stylophone, of all things, had a 555 in it, and it was just the key selection was just selecting the amount of resistance and capacitance on the 555's little feedback frequency generator. That was annoying. I wanted to find more of a circuit in that thing. I need to find like an ancient stylophone. I bought the cheap one that has a singular 555 in it. So I would wager that both of these are from the same company. I would wager that. I don't know though. They possibly could have chosen this one because it's specific for the LCD. Because I mean they are only communicating on so many lines with the two, between the two. So I'm going to wager this one is controlling the LCD almost entirely. Row, 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 or rather calm, 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 calm. Row, 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 row. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that would be the LCD controller. And usually LCD controllers are fairly, they're tough to find. They're tough to find and figure out what's going on in there. I'm sure it may even be from a Chinese manufacturer where we don't have data sheets. The fact that they covered this over is completely and utterly pointless. They really did not need to do that. I guess they decided, well, you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound with a lasering service. So they decided to laser all of that off, which is just supremely obnoxious for us. Now here, this would be the microcontroller that controls this thing. Apart from getting like broad performance information, I guess we don't need to know all that much specific about this. It's not like we're trying to take over this product. There's a common synth type circuit. I think the ancient ones is like that too. Huh. I actually found this thing. I was just browsing around. I linked it to the Discord, but it is the Laugh Track machine. Was almost thrown out. It was in a storage unit that got bought by some guy, and this was a legendary machine. This is like this one guy had this machine, and he kept it under lock and key. He would bring it into the studio. He would hook it up to their audio stuff, and then he would generate a laugh track with the keys on the device. And they would go, no, 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 we want a slightly older crowd. And so he'd adjust something, and he'd hit the buttons, and then it would be a slightly older sounding laugh track. Or he'd do like a younger one, or make them go, ooh. Like all of those sounds that we used to hear in TV laugh tracks were this one guy who had a machine. And so went to a storage unit was bought. The guy held onto it. He said it looked like something kind of interesting. He took it into Antiques Roadshow, of all places, and they went, holy shit, this is the only one that exists. And they priced it at $10,000. And it's like, dude, are you kidding me? That is part of everybody's collective, like that's part of TV history. That's got to be worth way more than that. But what it was inside was a bunch of tapes. And he could remove the tapes, put in different tapes, but it would play the tapes at varying speeds depending on how he configured it, which is crazy. It's just crazy to think. And yeah, like one of a kind device. Titan Micro. I don't know if I'd say it was Titan Micro. I don't know enough about that, because it could be just about anyone. And I guess we wouldn't know unless we pulled up a bunch of Titan Micro ICs and we looked at where the various connections to the LCD were. But again, like I don't say anything definitively unless I know for sure. Like until you actually see the part number, you don't specifically attribute it. You see them a lot. Yeah, that would be the beginning. Like that's the kicking off point of properly reverse engineering something. You know, right now, speculatively, I would say that this is controlling, well, no, not speculatively, I know this is controlling the LCD, so it might be some kind of an LCD controller. Maybe they had a super genius at their company, and the guy decided to use a telecom chip to run the screen, because it's cheaper. You never know. Yeah, what was that? There's another type of instrument that was used in a bunch of popular music where it was actually a tape that you were playing at varying speeds. We ran into that when we had this professional sampler, and I really wish all this music equipment that I've experienced in my life wasn't just funded by my rich friends who then held on to it or sold it because I've had all kinds of cool music stuff. We had this wonderful, it used a SCSI hard drive, not like a hard drive filled with terrible porn. I mean, just like a SCSI, SCSI. It's an actual data protocol. But anyways, SCSI hard drive that we had to source from our Mac teacher, and the thing would play samples at different pitches, and you could pitch up and pitch down without smushing it. And it was sort of a very old kind of tool for doing that, but it was such an awesome thing because you could do all of the crazy, sample stuff on a keyboard. Yeah, not to be confused with the scummy hard drive. SCSI, scummy, scuffed. Scuffed is another one. I really want to know what these are. What baffles me though is that if it were an op amp, it can't be a quad op amp because that would need another row of pins. If it's a dual op amp, then one op amp is here and the other one is here. Or this is the other way around. No, yeah, that's right. That one, and then this one, and then this would be voltage in. I guess it goes to this. Or no, this would be voltage in, which I guess goes over to here. There could be a via underneath it too. So if it's just an op amp, where is it outputting to? Through the cap, through this, and then under the board. Potentially to something around here, if this has analog inputs. And then I guess we're just reading voltage across a coil. We've got resistor going to ground. We've got a coil, which is a neat little thing. This is kind of neat. And then we've got the other side of the coil coming out here, going into, well, that has a test point associated with it, and it goes all the way over here. That might be the second op amp. Maybe this jumps over here, goes into this circuit. Well, no, wait a minute. That wouldn't be the output of the first op amp into this, because our antenna's coming down here. Comes into here. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little fishy. And then we've got a whole nother circuit over here, which looks very similar to the first. Sort of. And then would we be going op amp here? So we'd have input through a resistor, and it looks like unity gain 562, 562. And we're defeating the high frequencies of this. So our input goes through the, what is it, R1, and then it's feedback over R2. So input here, feedback, how's that, wait a minute. Is that feeding back into it? Because that definitely looks like unity gain right there, which would make this the output. Maybe that jumps over and goes through a diode. Why would we go through a diode? Just so many questions. Over to a test point. I would assume that the ADC it's not like, I would assume that this is driving the LCD entirely because it appears to not really be connected to much else. There's a lot of I/O that's sort of not doing anything. And then this would be a microcontroller that would feature a couple ADC pins. Yeah, they could be inverting and reverting the circuit and then coming back out. But just as I wanted to do a quick glance reverse engineer, because I kind of want to look at those light bulbs over this thing. So I just want to do a quick glance reverse engineer this thing. And yeah, now we know how it works. We don't have any specifics about the chips running in this thing. I was hoping I could find something like an ASIC, kind of like a specific like magneto-sensing kind of thing. But it looks like they're doing it kind of a very old school way. They just have a coil at the end, and then they have an antenna whose length is likely to be a fraction of, well, what is this? What is this? This isn't measuring frequency, is it? But as an antenna, we have like a certain amount of area and then a certain length to the thing. The frequency by which it would resonate on. It's a little less than 45.82 millimeter. So if we take 45 millimeter and we look at the resonant frequencies, and that's a matter of doing math, so we're going to leave that to something online. We're going to leave that up to a Java app, even though it's a very easy conversion. So millimeter, and it's 45. Does this work backwards? This one doesn't work backwards. This one sucks. 6,662.055 megahertz. That's not right. Ugh, just give me the cookies. Type full. 45 millimeters. No, this doesn't work backwards. Oh, it does. 6 gigahertz seems like a little bit much for this thing to be. I mean, this thing is, I think it's multi-frequency though, so maybe that's not how this thing is working. It might just be something to receive electromagnetic energy, and then it's measuring it on the back end somehow. But I mean, it would be like 6 gigahertz, and then you could do like the different, if it's like a half wave or a quarter wave. What does quarter wave give us? Okay, hold on. That ain't right. 600? 600 seems a little bit more reasonable, yeah. From 6,000 to 600. Is that one of the corner frequencies? Anyway, whatever. That's what we know about it. It's probably sensitive to that. I think it might be multi-frequency though, because they do tell you the frequency that it's, or no, they tell you the amount of energy. They don't tell you the frequency. So maybe it just doesn't care about frequency, and it just does like an overall, how RF spicy is this air? Oh, that's super hot. Spicy, spicy. I give it 3 hot peppers. Got to do this without severing the battery connection. The battery wires are not locked down by anything, which makes this extremely flimsy. It kind of worries me. Let me just cap it. No cap. Oh, I put it on backwards. Oh well. That's wireless microphones in the EU, huh? So now we actually know that the coil's right here. Ah! Oh my God, changing magnetic field. Everything is terrible. You're gonna die. All right. Possibly this is next to useless. I'm not sure. It does seem to be doing a genuine job of sensing RF in the front. I block the RF with my hand, yeah. And then I open it up like this. That's probably my lights. My lights are probably what's creating all of that. I guess I'll put the back screws back in. But I don't know if I'd trust this thing to be sensing, like, if I were making a product and I wanted something to sense, like, how much electromagnetic radiation is my product giving off? I'm not sure I'd trust this thing. Being that it was like $30 on Amazon. I hope I didn't pay $60 for this thing, because it's certainly, while it does, maybe it's worth that. I don't know. There we go. Well, that's why we take stuff apart. We can learn about the design of things. Oh yeah, no, the trace layout. Okay, so I didn't explain this. The trace layout on this thing was not that professional. It was sort of what I'd do. It's sort of how I'd make it. Does the device have an FCC ID? It's got a CE, which I'm sure is genuine. Absolutely not. Not even patent marking or anything on it. You saw the design of that PCB. That was very amateurish for a piece of like equipment that's supposed to be like lab equipment. You know, they didn't mitigate RF around traces. Their trace layout is fairly matter of fact. On the other side, things are kind of going directly to other things, and there's not like filter capacitors on a lot of the extensions of it. No. This is not a professional design on this. I mean, yeah, it is professionally designed, but it's not designed behind being a piece of accurate RF equipment. There are differences in the way the circuit looks. I wish I had a good example. Maybe the router PCB can be a good example of this. Let me get the router PCB up here. My old router, my old girl. A lot of good connectors on this thing. Decently modern design. This is designed for performance. And so, if we look at the layout, if there aren't too many layers on this thing, the LED lights are putting off a lot of RF. We put a lot of filtration on them to isolate them from everything else, but they still give off a lot of signal. Pardon the dog hair. Pardon the dog hair. So this is in a completely different category of PCB design, sure, but we see things like differential signal traces being relegated to a corridor and then surrounded by grounding with vias all over it. Yeah, the professional PCBs are inundated with dog hair. That's just how it is. Signal pairs being isolated with grounds inside of them. What are you talking about, Andrew? Curved traces. Lots of vias. Although this is on, yeah, totally different level. But the principles of design and how they kind of lay stuff out, you know, they know that this needs to be a high performance signal. They know that this needs to be something that's metered. They know that something needs to be meandered. It's just, yeah, the differences between the design of these two. I see you guys know each other. I see now. Look at the meandering. None of these signals have jobs. They're just walking around, wasting everybody's time. Yeah, if you bought the $20 ghost meter and it turns out it's some RF engineer down on the chips, working at some company that's bashing out 10,000 circuits into the sort of white label product market, and they're like, we need you to design this RF ghost engineer. All we need you to do is take the radio and the coil in and give it a number. That's all we need you to do. And he's like, okay. And then he designs something that's like on the level of like an oscilloscope PCB, where like signals are meandering and they've got like specific like capacitor traces and stuff like that. That you can manipulate the shape of the traces in order to create things like resistors and capacitors when you're in higher frequencies. You can actually create like, oh, I need a tiny capacitor here, so I'll just put a ground, like a circular ground right next to my trace. But yeah, you open up the $20 ghost meter and it's like that. What the hell is that thing? Some kind of an RF switch to switch between 3 antennae. Crazy. Crazy town. Anyway, that's just my example of, you know, high level design versus what we were just looking at, which is just kind of amateur. Not that we can do any better. We can just sit here on the sidelines and shoot little snipey comments out at the PCBs that we're looking at. I want to take apart this thing. This is an RGB LED light bulb. Probably not that bad. It's probably a pretty decent one. I got it for super duper cheap for some kind of an Amazon thing. And I was going to use it as an indicator light, hook it up with Node-RED, let it read whatever the API is for my file server so that I could have an actual physical representation of whether the drives were okay. I want to have like a big blaring red light when things go bad so that I know that I can replace, because I've actually had it happen before where one drive went bad and I didn't know about it for months. And I lost an entire file server with some pretty nice stuff in it. And I'm still reeling off of that one. So anyway, yeah. So I wanted to have that sort of indicator light. I sent the drives to a hard drive place to get them recovered, and they said, hey, it would be $1,000 to get your drives back. And I just didn't have the money at the time. No, it's okay. And I guess they professionally destroyed them as a courtesy. But oh well. But yeah, so anyway, this is Bluetooth. I don't really have the means to take over the Bluetooth on this. I guess I could plug Bluetooth into the computer and maybe I could access that with Node-RED somehow. I don't know how to do that. So anyway, I'm just going to get the Wi-Fi ones, and I already bought them. What if the drive goes bad, but the indicator light, yeah, is off or broken and still doesn't tell you? that is unfortunately a game that I'm going to have to play, but that is a better game than the, I wonder if my hard drives are doing anything right now, because I'll never check in. I'll never check in if it's on the what is it? TrueNAS interface. While I can get into that, I just will never know. Can you guys take it to the PMs or something? I don't know whether I'm not supposed to read your little PM messages here. It's okay. It's distracting me. So these are plastic. This is a Christmas tree stand that we have to fix in a little bit here. These lights are plastic welded together. They're plastic welded together, which means there are no discernible connectors, or there's just nothing, right? It's not like I can unscrew it. Yeah, there's nothing. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to save any of the parts of this. We could probably get this collar off by bending it a little bit. It looks like it's been crimped on, but the way to get in here is going to be to pop this bubble. We're going to pop this off of this right here because these have been plastic welded together, which means that they take the two pieces of plastic and they put it in a press. And the two sides of that press have piezoelectro elements that shake it at an extremely high frequency. That turns the plastic into soup, and the two pieces of soup get to know each other just a little bit, and they make a bond. So once they've made that bond, our job is then to get into this thing. Sometimes the plastic weld is weaker than the plastic around it. And so if you can crack it, if you can start a crack going, the crack is going to follow that plastic weld pretty well. It'll sometimes stray off of it, but generally you can get that to work. What I'm going to try is to suddenly shock it and get it to let go. Now, there's two methods behind it. Well, there's two ways that I can try this. I can clamp it and then punch it, or I can squeeze it with the clamp, and squeezing with the clamp will sometimes crack that interface. And we don't have anything to lose because this thing was cheap, so with this printer in the way, I'm still waiting on those ink cartridges. That's going to be a whole thing. Why are there wires in the way? There are just wires everywhere. Wires everywhere, and only a drop to drink. 3, 2, 1. Well, actually, let's get closer. That's the fart box, by the way. It's not working. I need to do my due diligence with Node-RED. Then we can get it working. Ooh, it's okay with that. Whoa. So my clamp has the little tilty majig on it, and that little tilty whirl is unfortunately going to keep us from putting the beans on it right away. So if I center it enough, it should be able to put some beans on it. And I could just tighten this until it makes crackling noises. Or I can try smashing the top piece. Oh, there's a crackle. Oh, it looks like we popped in the ping pong ball. All right, so I'm just gonna put it all in. I got an EcoTank printer from Goodwill for 25 bucks and it wouldn't print anything, but I found a secret power cleaning mode which unclogged the nozzles. I need to find that mode for mine. Once my cartridge, the ink tanks get here, maybe I'll be able to get it to like try to print, and then we'll see how shitty the head is. It's probably in really bad shape. Probably shouldn't be holding on to this. I don't know how much force I'm going to unlock by clamping down this spring. Actually, I think what I'm doing is just permanently destroying the... There we go. Ta-da! Now I can see what kind of an RGB LED this thing is in the end. Unfortunately, I didn't get to keep this wonderful little round piece of plastic, because that's kind of cool. It would have been nice to have a nice round piece of plastic to illuminate something with. All right, so we've taken apart a couple like light bulbs on this channel, believe it or not. We've done compact fluorescence. We've done regular LED lighting. This would be the first smart bulb that we get through. Of course, I still can't get into it. Interesting. Okay. Let's take a look. No liftoff? Yeah, no, it wasn't very violent. So I'm just looking at how this thing is put together. Seems like, okay, so it seems like this will pop off the front. There's just a little bit of stuff, a couple tabs holding it in. My other question is whether if I undo it back here, I don't think it'll come out. No, that's way bigger. Yeah, no, that won't come out that way. It looks as though they put it in and twisted it. Is that what happened? Oh, it doesn't twist. How the hell did they get that in there? Oh, I see. The plastic welding deformed the outside. Yeah, the little, this is an actual inverted planar F. That's the F right there. It's inverted planar F antenna. If we go to antenna theory, this seltzer bottle's in my way. I can't get to the side of my keyboard. Antennatheory.com. Types of antennas. Inverted F. This is a real website, kids. This is what the internet was meant for. Not any of this algorithmic take over the world, make everybody insular and crazy and promote the lack of rights for marginalized people kind of internet. This is the real internet. This is sharing knowledge in its most basic form with pastel backgrounds and a modicum of tabling in HTML. This ain't the way the internet is now. The inverted F antenna is shown in figure 1. While this antenna appears to be a wire antenna, after some analysis of how this antenna radiates, it is more accurately classified as an aperture antenna. Oh no, listen, I'm so sick of algorithms at this point. Yeah, written in HTML in Notepad. Exactly. So this has a lot of extremely good knowledge about antenna design if you're willing to give it a little bit of your time. You can learn quite a bit. I got chicken in my teeth. Old cell phones had this, and they had this in various different forms. But there's a lot of really good stuff on this page. That is very much not, it's not in the real world anymore. They don't, this isn't, anyway, we still see these all over the place. A lot of cool stuff in here. It's funny though, I remember there being a page where he explains the F antenna in a little bit more detail. Because again, like this, what I just clicked on here doesn't seem like, he's not really, the F shape isn't really present in the examples here. There was a better one. It's somewhere on this page. On a folded dipole. On a monopole. Half-wave dipole. NFC. Yes. Yes, this is modern life. You do look like a clown getting your Starbucks with a... Yep. Yeah, I don't know where that specific part of the... Well, we're in antenna tutorials, so maybe that's antenna design, maybe? Oh yeah, he does a whole thing on the original Raspberry Pi, or the 3B. Yeah, Raspberry Pi 3, he does a whole analysis on the antenna of it, which is pretty fascinating. So there's still some somewhat relevant stuff on this site. The old net sucked. It looked took forever. What are you talking about? A page like this would load very quickly. And this is, obviously he's using YouTube videos as well. So this is sort of 2000s-ish, wouldn't it? It'd be like 2003 or 4. I guess he may have added the YouTube stuff later on, but GPS is a little different. SAR, GPIS, center fed asymmetric, and then offset. Yeah, I'm okay. So anyway, somewhere on the site. Oh yeah, that's my old phone. Neat. You're saying my old phone put a bunch of RF into my hand? Why did they split it up there? I have a lot of reading to do. It seems like he's updated some stuff. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff going on this website, a lot of really cool information, and it's just information. It really is like hardcore reading that you can do. But this is like one of the best sites on the web. Third from the bottom left on the first page this is the first page that I was on, unfortunately. If you mean the antenna basics, no, types. It was types. Parabolic reflector dish antennas? Spirals? Oh, planar inverted F. There we go. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. This is actually what I was looking for. If I recall correctly, it'll eventually walk you into it. Nope. Well, close enough. Microchips? This is a planar inverted F. I remember there being an example where they show the F just like what we were just looking at, which is this right here, where we've got this dual path down here that leads up to the antenna, and one of the ends is grounded. And there's a lot of reading on that website. you can spend a day there for sure. So is this, it is, that's Scholastic. Scholastic is the way, at least, hey, Mahalo, happy Friday to you too. Throwback Thursday with GeoCities sites. Kind of. We're looking at antenna theory because we've got a Bluetooth light. Now this stuff, I've heard it called Scholastic. I don't know if there's a specific name or even a brand or product name, but it is just this white silicon rubber that they use to seal things on circuits. I've seen them used for the reduction of coil wine or capacitor wine or brandy wine. No, of vibrating parts, but it's also used to seal stuff. It's also used to hold components together. Yeah, I would like to know too. I don't know the spelling of it. I've only heard it verbally communicated. I probably don't want to do that. I probably want to pinch and pull. I don't know how to properly release this stuff. I don't think alcohol would do it. Alcohol does a lot for us. This is maybe not the best grabber tool. What about the medical ones that I have? I saw somebody using forceps to catch Japanese wasps trying to get into a bee colony, and it was kind of weird to see because they didn't get him all that much farther away, but he was still using it like a miniature nomming arm to grab them and throw them into some like a container full of, I think, just like vinegar or something. They only use that word when they don't want to say cock. Cock. Yeah, it's all around this. I guess they used it to seal the top piece just in case the welding wasn't 100%. So the question is, I mean, I think what I need to do is release this down here first. I think I need to release this pinch, and then maybe we can get it unsoldered or unconnected from the bottom. I like how smooth that is. Usually that's just a big thing of solder. I don't even know what that word is. scub? What is that? So these were all pressed from the front or from the outside. Getting under it is going to be a challenge, but as soon as I do get under it, I can pry it back a little bit. But yeah, we've got this stuff up here keeping this board in, and then I'm guessing we're going to have a solder joint at the bottom keeping it held down. Because again, this stuff is a little rubbery, right? So I should theoretically be able to move the PCB a little bit. This tool is actually working out really well for getting into the edge of the cock, right under the little hood that the cock has. Right up in there. There we go. Oh, right. Pro-scub and anti-scub. That's Perry Bible Fellowship. Come on. Try to remove all this stuff from the edge and free up this board. So there's probably going to be, I mean, obviously we've got a vertical Bluetooth antenna. So all the Bluetooth stuff is probably going to be on this piece here. This is going to remove from the front. This will just be the LEDs. And then below it, you're going to have the 120 volt circuit to 3 volts probably. And then the microcontroller that's controlling Bluetooth and the LEDs. And there'll probably be some big transistors as well. It's going to be 3 circuit boards, one little stand-up module right here, the lighting board, and then the brain and converter and all that stuff, all the caps and stuff like that. Just try to get through this. I can't believe Perry Bible Fellowship coined the term weeaboo. Oh shit, I just broke the Bluetooth. I just accidentally gripped the Bluetooth board and twisted it. Oh well. Ah well, such is life. Got to be careful what you're pinching on the back end with these things. You ever get bit by a pair of pliers? It's the worst. Happens to be all the time. Get a nice blood blister. Grab and twist. Yeah, weeaboo. Perry Bible Fellowship coined the term weeaboo, but it had nothing to do with anime. You can go find the comic right now and just look at the comic. It's similar to pro-scub and anti-scub. I mean, he didn't coin the term, but the comic was the first use of the term, and then they decided to redefine it to being somebody who's into anime. The internet decided. They decided I need like multiple pin tools to get into this thing. Let's see here. This might help. There's little gaps in the circuit board where you could get under it with something to pull. And I think that's the only way to get this out. I guess I can go over here too and pull. So this tool is a depthing tool. This is not a pulling tool. You're supposed to gauge a hole with it. I use it as a little right angle pick. It's been very useful in that. And it's also my pointing device, but it really is not meant for any of those tasks. This is for depthing holes. So I guess it's all right, but it, certainly not using it for the right purposes here. This board is not moving at all. there's something powerful holding it in, or I need to release something down here to get it to open up a little bit. So, oh boy, what do I do? Get the big wrench on it. It saved our bacon before. We can get it to turn. If I can get this to grip it. No. This thing is meant for like big pipes. This is not meant for cheap, barely three-dimensional metal. Yeah, I guess the flathead, but I can't get it under this. This is a very tight fit under here. Oil filter wrench. I have a chain wrench somewhere. You know, the best oil filter wrench is actually just poking a screwdriver through the damn thing. You poke a screwdriver through it, and then you can get all the torque in the world on that oil filter. Since I've gone to BMW has a oil bucket, and you unscrew the top, which is plastic, and then the filter is just the filter paper that fits into a little like chassis. So I've not needed anything like that. I have not needed anything like that, unfortunately. I even got a chain wrench from like buddies at work. He's like, yo, you want a chain wrench? I'm like, yeah. So he just gives me this chain wrench. He's apparently government budget paid for it. Like, whoa, okay. I guess I got a chain wrench now. But I've never needed it. The BMW thing just uses like a bike tool. It's something for the spindle of the bike. I have like a flat wrench that's just a flat sheet of metal. Yeah, I know. Do you say no to that? You don't say no to that. You need a chain wrench? Yeah. Yeah, I want a chain. You want a free chain wrench? Yeah. Yeah, I want a free chain wrench. You don't, who's asking a free chain wrench? Why is this not budging? There's something, maybe I'm being too much of a weenie with it, but really it doesn't want to move at all. And I'm having trouble getting under these. S58 engine oil filter location. It's a nightmare. Just changed mine last week. I used to do, when I had a VW, I would do the plastic bag trick. You put the oil filter in a, there we go. You put the oil filter in a plastic bag, and then the plastic bag gets all the oil. This is not soldered. This is not soldered. Actually, no, it's all press fit. So, okay, this is wow, this is how this works. I got a new truck, so I take it to the dealership and have them do it for free. I don't know if I trust that. I mean, I guess the dealership is fine. It's just those oil places, like their synthetic barrel is the same thing as their regular barrel. And I'd like to pick and choose the oils that go in. I'm not an oil nerd. I know how you oil nerds work. The oil nerds are a specific breed of car guy that is almost impossible to tolerate. They're crazy people. One of my best friends, one of my best friends, is an oil nerd. He's an oil nerd. It's hard. It's a tough life. But anyway, here is the way that they connect electricity to this thing. What they do is they have a press fit down there, and you can see that one hole is a little wider than the others next to it. So they put the wire through there, and they push it together, and it press fits the wire against the metal. And then up here, they just simply have a wire that goes down like that and gets press fit with this thing. So it goes down probably a little bit further like that, and then this presses in and clamps down with the wire there. Oh, it actually might go right here. Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't reach there. Huh. This is gonna break if I bend it too many more times. Hey, what's up, Brink? Gigi. Okay, so only 2 PCBs. So there's one singular PCB that contains the Bluetooth and the power stuff, and it opens up to here, which explains why these connections are like this, because these will be board edge connections. So why are we unable to move this? Probably because there's elastic on the other side of it. Well, I mean, they're building these things by the bushel. These are sharp. That's going to hurt me. They're building, 10 million of these things a second, so you want to make them as cheaply as possible. I'm surprised we've even got 2 PCBs on this thing. There we go. Cool. Oh, and it is an aluminum PCB. The celastic on this thing is still, this is like putty. This isn't celastic. Sorry, caulk. This isn't caulk. This is not caulk. 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 It's not caulk. It's not what it is. It's some kind of putty. A lazy mix of silicon and elastic to create a brand name for silicon rubber. Interesting. Oh God, it's all over. I guess it's a heat transfer material. But they just got all over the place. Oh, it's disgusting. Oh man, come on. Be a little bit more responsible with your disgusting materials. Well, they're not clay working tools for nothing. Ew. You. Comes off of the stuff somewhat, but I'm going to have to like work it in order to get it off. What if it's toxic? It might be. Just, yeah, somebody at the factory just fucking threw their bubble gum at it. Nasty. Nasty business. It's a living. Oh my God. Get out of there. Get this stuff out here. Look at my restoration channel, where I tried to dig electronics out of Play-Doh. What's the reason? Because this thing is Bluetooth, and I don't need to make it. I don't need to make Bluetooth stuff. I don't need a Bluetooth LED light. So we're taking it apart just because we can. Why is there a box here? Why does the box need cooling? Forensic splooge removal. This stuff is nasty. This stuff is like, yeah, it's like icing. It's the consistency of icing. It comes off clean when you scrape close, but still. Oh, it's inside of the can. Oh, neat. So if I tried to heat up and remove the can, I'm probably in for a world of toxic fumes as this stuff gets over its typical working temperature. Been eating a lot of candy lately? You really need to floss more. I'm seeing a lot of buildup around here. You see how this is bleeding right here? Really could, you could brush a little bit more often. These big caps. Thermal sandwich paste. You guys have sandwich paste over there? Jeez. Y'all living a weird life. Yeah. See how when I dig around in your gums with a piece of metal, you bleed? That's on you. Your gums should be armor plated. Actually, since I went to one of those sonic toothbrushes, I have not had. Oh, what happened? Oh, that's sad. All right. Since I went over to one of those sonic toothbrushes, my dentist will look at my teeth and go, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Whatever. They're like disappointed they can't lecture me about keeping my mouth clean. I hate to see it. There's a pill for it, but I don't have those here. I'm feeling leads on the ends of these. I think these are ICs. They might be big transistors. Yeah, see, that's got leads. You have the plague of shitty teeth genetics. Maybe it's the fluoride in the water for me, but I don't get cavities. I don't know what it is. I take okay care of my teeth. You know, I brush every now and then. It's probably one of those big fets in a SOIC package. Why would you put all of this thermal stuff around it anyway? And I think that can that I called it, I think that might actually just be a what do you call it? Heatsink. It's on a separate board too. That's so weird. Can we use this to remove a little bit of it? Not really. It doesn't bond that. Oh yeah, no, that doesn't work. Okay, so let's do it this way. I don't want to put it down on these light holders because it'll get greasy. It's probably going to leave like a little grease stain where it was sitting. Greasy. If IPA works on this stuff, I would assume that it would dissolve it. And I don't want a bunch of cloudy IPA that has some weird, horrible chemicals in it. Yeah, I don't want like a milky soup of nastiness. So it's better to just kind of work it away with something like this, like a pen tool. It does come up clean on flat surfaces when I scrape just barely with the tooth tool. I mean, these are dental tools that have been repackaged as clayworking tools, so dump it down the drain. I mean, this thing is probably not going to be lasting too long around here, but I do just want to see what kind of technology goes into it and look at the traces, you know, kind of internalize some of the design here and just get to know it. That's why we do this. You know, if we're designing PCBs, we might as well go out and review other people's PCBs. What's the component? BP1638. Oh, here's the cap. No cap. Is it again? It's KAP? KAE 24K. 24K? Isn't 24K? Can't see it. BP is in bright power. Why did that one get worse? You can see here that the difference between manufacturers is that this one did not care about us getting the information from this board. IPA would probably work to get the last of this stuff off. BP 25, yes, this is BP 16 and BP 5Z. BP 1638. 1638. It's a door hinge. Teardown, Y Pro, Smart LED bulb. Whoops-a-daisy. Nope, no spoilers. Just an LED driver, RGB LED driver. So these have RGB LEDs, but they also have the warm light LEDs as well. So this would have been RGB and whatever that other one, but it's not full RGB. There's another one that does like 3 different channels of lights. Well, yeah, that's what they do, because the RGB LEDs are not going to give you like warm light. I'm going to get a paper towel for this insidious crap. Get it off of my fingers. I don't want to be exposed to whatever the hell thermal paste this crap is for too long. And I'm willing to put acetone where my mouth is. Not literally today, but yeah, RGBW, because RGB doesn't create those warm light frequencies that you get from a light bulb specifically. And so you relegate that to other LEDs. Yeah, this is probably old. It's probably what's on super sale. This is going to dry out my hands quite a bit, but it'll at least get this, whatever the fuck that stuff is, off. All right, now we remove the acetone. It's like a super high clean of my hands. Whew, okay, there. Nice, it's stinky. Also, I get to breathe fumes. And it's that much more flammable around here. Are these, you think these are cold white? Does my multimeter have enough oomph to power these up? We did not power this up ahead of time. I spent $20 and I got 4 of the Tasmotizable RGB LEDs. So, I mean, destroying this thing is not that big of a deal. So we're not getting a great sense of what the color temperature is, because I see cold white and warm white in the same package. Obviously, these things are a little bit yellowed in order to make it a little bit more palatable. Where are the LEDs on this one? I can see the leads. How are these? What the hell kind of? Okay, so yeah, aluminum substrate in order to dissipate heat. And then the leads on these are goddamn non-existent. Wait, how do you attach these? Are they glued in some way? There is no solder here. Yeah, you can see the WS2812 chip. We can get close. Let's get close. Let's get real close. Actually, let's get really close. Hold on a second. Everybody hold on to your butts. Hold on to your butts. We're going to get real close to this circuit. We're going to take a look at that chip. We're going to take a look directly at the chip. And for that, I'm going to need some of these. Let's just use one of them. We're not going to get super close. We can get super close with all 3, but it's a hassle. And I need to bring in even more special equipment. Okay. Whew, talk about fumes. What's so stinky? Smell like you just bathed your fingers in acetone. Oh my God, I just flashbanged my audience. I'm so sorry. So, this is what it looks like in the CAD program. CAD gets very close. Mine eyes. Mein Fury, it burns. Fine, adjust the focus by moving it closer. And then we can probably get closer than this. Probably not that close. Every movement is magnified in this view. So, although I did see a dot in the middle, it appears as though these are individual chips, R, G, and B. Give me a headache. You don't have to look at your screen. Not my fault. Yeah, I lose color when I do that. Okay. I have a face light on my face at all times, so it doesn't really hurt me. I need a small view for focusing. What I need is a motor on the focus ring of this lens, and then I don't have to touch it and cause it to jerk around like I just did. So that's your RGB LED. It's 3 chips. The chips have kind of a little bit of a unique thing going on there, and if I'm good enough at poking this thing, I don't even know which one we're looking at right now. What I can do is try to get the cathode and anode. It doesn't look like they share. Are the bond wires silver? They're likely gold. We're not seeing a lot of like color. I'm not getting a lot of color out of this thing, I think, because of the physics of whatever's going on here. But I don't think they're silver. They should be gold bonded. That's the typical one. It's just that we can't see them that well. I just don't think I'm getting to the pins. I don't know where the pins are. I might want to crack one of these off of the surface and see where the pins are. Like, okay, so there are the pins. Well, that one only shows 2 of them. Are these BGA? I think that's a soldering error, and these are actually BGAs. Yep, it's a soldering error. Yeah, these are only coming off with hot air. Weird. That one looks a little nicer. That one's less dirty. Yeah, that's squished out from the under pad. There's likely to be 6 pads underneath this thing. Cool, let's take a look at that. Let's go back to normal vision. We don't need super duper zoomed in vision. Go. Put that away. I don't want to light up the whole cluster of LEDs. I just want one of them. I guess it would look good to light one of these up with the super microscope going. That would be a clippable offense. My clips never get any traction. They get no traction at all. I don't know why that happens, but I'll post a picture of corgis playing and I'll get nothing. And then somebody else posts a picture of corgis playing and they get all the like news headlines, and I don't know what it is. I just can never get traction. I'm throwing this stuff away because I really don't know what it is, and it kind of sticks to desks and makes them greasy. So that goes in the garbage. I'm not saving that. I really don't need weird chemicals in my life. I've got enough. I've got enough known chemicals in my life. Okay, that didn't actually make it in the garbage. Let's get one of these LEDs off of here. So I'm going to need a heat sink so that I don't end up destroying my desk. And I guess what I'll do is I'll just put it up on this clamp. That'll lift it up enough that we can remove one of these fascinating LEDs with only connections underneath. Ah, you're slightly too, okay, fine. We'll just sit it on top. We'll just sit it on top for a little bit of separation. And then hot air station, turn that on. Get that over here. And then tweezies. And then I just heat the shit out of one of these LEDs. The thing is, my camera lenses are Nikon, just because I bought a Nikon in 2006, 7, 2008 from a tax rebate check. I figured I wanted to have a DSLR. I should have waited a year or two, because back then the lenses did not allow you to do video for very long. I could do video for 30 seconds or so, and then it would have to turn off to cool off. So when it came to streaming, I was going to use that camera as like an over-the-shoulder cam or something, and it was no bueno, because it would turn off every something seconds. This is an aluminum PCB, so all of the heat is going to be dissipated quite easily. The only really information that I want from that camera lens is the signaling methodology, and it's got a water-cooled camera. It has a way to adjust focus and stuff. It's got these piezoelectric motors inside of it that do focus and stability. I would love to take over those systems, and we tried. We tried to do that on stream. I got real close with it too. It's very frustrating that I had to give up that project. Ooh, stinky, stinky hot air. A little bit of a combination of the acetone smell and the dust getting into the... Oh no, it totally ruined it. Yeah, we broke the RGB LED. This would be a matter of using the skillet, I think. Oh, and I've got some weird smells coming off of this thing. I think we cooked that one too. Let it go. The weight of the board is trying to separate this chip. Gimme. Now, they could have cooled, I keep reading that word. They could have glued it. Ugh. Okay, I can't let this touch the desk. This will melt my desk. All right, I gotta stop now. That's too much heat. That's way too much. The skillet could probably do it, but the aluminum is dissipating the heat way too well. You're gonna destroy the component. I think you missed the part where I pinched all the lens out of it. It's already a dead component. Really? And most of the components surrounding are also killed in the process. That is just not coming up. Crazy. That's kind of crazy. So it's likely we have some kind of a FET right here. This is probably a FET that would be switching on all of these in the surround, because we've only got 6 pins coming in. And that would be RGB white, ground, and maybe something else if you feel crazy. What does the other side of the board look like? It's vastly complicated, and I don't know if you guys are ready for it. Pretty crazy. Aluminum PCBs are one-layer PCBs, typically, and they're designed specifically for heat dissipation. Yeah, I didn't want to have to show you guys that, but I had to. You know, you got to ask these questions, and whether or not you're ready for the answer is not on me, okay? But I try to kind of shield you guys from stuff like that, but there you have it. I could brand myself with this right now. I am not going to. Actually, it's cooled off quite a lot. Yeah. No safety Pi disc. I have a silicon rubber mat that I put down, but there's too much crap on the desk right now. I mean, sure, you could Dremel the aluminum side. I don't know to what end. I don't want to do that. The chips are just soldered down. If I really wanted to recover these LEDs, and I like had a project for them, which is a little bit weird, I wouldn't like that. The real way to do this would be to put this down on a skillet. I'd be a little bit concerned about these two, but those two could be easily removed from this side. So I'd have to get rid of the plastic parts and then put this thing down on a skillet, and then everything is at soldering temperature. Or you preheat, so you get the skillet hot, and then you use the hot air from above in order to bring it up to flow temperature. And I would have used a lot more flux around the chip as well. But then again, the flux can get in the lens and make it all stupid. So anyway, the point is it's RGB with white. Getting at aluminum PCB from above is tough because of the dissipation of energy. So preheating the board is pretty much the way to go. We don't need to remove these parts. I was just curious about what was underneath that one chip. And unfortunately, brute forcing it wasn't happening. There we go. I exploded it. Oh, but it's still down. It's still soldered? Or is that the solder pad? Wait a minute. Is this LED just 3 chips deposited directly on the aluminum substrate? No, that's just the bottom of the component. Yeah. All right, let's take a look. Yeah, okay, so there's depth to it there. Yeah, it's the bottom layer of just the LED. That's going to slip and cut me. Oh, I see. We've got R3, R2. Okay, so what I can do is use their test points. It's 3 chips in a trench coat. Yeah. So if I go to R3, actually, let's go to one out here. Yeah, here, R5. And then this one. Oh, I've got it in ohms. Hold on. Now we're in diode mode. Diode mode, let's go. Oh? What the hell, man? Try flipping leads? Flip the leads. Yeah. Don't remote pilot the streamer. He knows what he's doing. All right. Alumium was the original name. The Brits called it aluminum. And then the Americans called it aluminum as a result. Then you guys added a bunch of fucking syllables to it and called it aluminium. So we got blue there for sure. Green. If I green and R5. No, green and RGB. No. U to U. Well, what if R3 is actually this one? Well, no, because it's R5 to R3 gives us blue. This is my kind of puzzle game, chat. This is my kind of puzzle game. All right, so where's red? How does the circuit work? R. Ah. The reds are bussed together. Huh. Because there's RG, and there's probably a B somewhere around it. Yeah, a B, there's B. 1, 2. Oops. Whoa. You see that light up a little bit there? So I go on blue here. I just hover in this area. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. This is exposed. The labeling, the R2 label right here, there's a blue trace right at the top of it. Huh. This one would participate, but it's dead. We killed it. That's probably why this lights up that blue. And if I go red to here, red to here, we get 2 of them. There we get 1. Oh, maybe I just hit the leads wrong. Huh. So they're just all in parallel. Parallel. Oops. Well, that went away. So their RGBs are in parallel. And I guess it's, well, that's what the data sheet over here says. Yeah. Yeah, I can put a QA sticker on it. Well, except for the blowed up LED, the one we blued up. So it wasn't an RF can. This is just a piece of aluminum, and it goes to this driver. And it looks like they use, are they board edge soldering it? Probably are board edge soldering it on, but it's just this little like extra PCB with the FETs on it, and it's in that big globule of stuff. And then the outer casing is metal too, so that's dissipating heat even more. So in all likelihood, we're going to see a very simple circuit taking an AC, not even full bridge. Oh, maybe full, yeah, full bridge, never mind. This is a full bridge rectifier. Full bridge, all right, other people's memes, you know. Full bridge rectifier into diode, well, more diodes apparently, but full bridge rectifier into big capacitors, into diodes. You got a coil in there too that's participating. I'm helping too. Some kind of what looks like a fusible link. I don't know. That's probably an inductor of some kind. And then we've got a transformer and probably another rectification stage. I don't know what the transformer is doing so late in the game. But it's likely a fairly minimalistic power supply that's just taking 120 volts in and then turning it into low voltage system voltage for the Bluetooth module right here. And then it also has agency over these two what are multiple LED controllers that we've seen in a lot of stuff like this. When my cheap RGB bulbs always die, it's always the power supply. Yeah, this thing isn't exactly the highest class and quality. It'll get the job done though, and that's really all that it's supposed to be doing in there. There's a little fusible, it's just F1, not fusible link, but it is just a fuse sitting down here. I don't know if it's a temperature dependent fuse or not. That may be the whole way that it works. And then smoothing with the big caps up here, and you shove that into your little CPU, and your little CPU is also controlling your RGB LED controllers. Well, the caps here may be for RF purposes. They might be stifling because like my LED strips don't have the capacitors on them. And so without the capacitors on it, they create a whole lot of electrical noise on the rest of the circuit. So once again, it is exactly the same LED circuit that we see in all of this stuff. They've sort of lowered this down to its lowest possible margins. And LEDs are awesome because they have tens of thousands of hours of lifetime on them as compared to any of the other lighting technologies, and they're super duper duper efficient. They don't use up much current at all. They're very, very, they kind of sip on the, take little sippies of the power, little tiny sippies. So they're awesome. I would love to replace the recessed lighting in here with RGBs. They have all kinds. They have all kinds. It's going to cost $120 no matter what I do. But they have all different kinds that have like, some of them have RGB around the ring of the light and stuff. But what I want to find is something that I can Tasmotize, and then we can turn this whole place into the inside of a slot machine. So when people sub, it'll blah, 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 and the lights will go crazy. I don't really know if I'm going to get too far into that. These are halogens, and I would like to replace those with LEDs too. But yeah, with a Bluetooth chip, they might have a little more for EM suppression. Maybe, but yeah. So because I mean, there are no capacitors on this board. I would assume that they would put something on this board in order to help keep it from hammering. Because when you hammer that square wave into the LEDs, apparently they make a lot of where are we at BPS? What BPS are we doing? BPS is okay. BPS has not been worked on for a little while because I burnt out on it. We keep working on it in little increments. I'm ready to kind of get into actually wiring stuff at the board. We need to make basically a wiring harness for the whole thing. So maybe some of the stuff that we did with the Flexi PCB might come in handy. Probably not. Everything seems to be at wire scale. So I'll be making the silicon jacketed wires, taking like 10,000 fucking pieces of wire and soldering it from point to point. For that, basically, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to load chat up onto the tablet, put the tablet up on the wall so that I can talk to you guys while I'm doing this, and then I can just sit there and do the wiring. We got to move this desk out and away. Until then, I'm trying to wrap up some of the modular synth stuff that I've been doing. I'm trying to get it to a point where it's no longer the focus of the stream. Finish designing the mixer PCB, get that in, build it, get a prototype done so that Julian can play with it for a little while and give me some feedback. The Flexi PCB for the keyboards, that's a quick project. That's going to get ordered because everything is in the right place. Then we'll do a building stream on that. Once that's built, I have my keyboard. I can build it again to have my backup keyboard working. I'll have my original keyboard back on the streaming computer so it'll feel right again. And then we can look at the, what do you call it? Look at the module. Testing module is going to be a big project, and I don't need the whole thing at once. Right now, I've got 6-channel outputs, so I can use those 6-channel outputs to test the M303s. I can use it to test the mixer to a small degree, and we can get those sort of closer to wrap. The mixer is going to continue to be a project because I think Jules wants to sell the thing, so I'll bring that sort of back on occasion. But that means that I can get to some of my other synthesizer modules and tune them. But that's less of a priority. What'll happen at that point, once I get the mixer done, once I get the M303s fixed, I can then take a breather, go back to burn the subs. So it's coming up on the horizon. We will work on burn the subs. There's not really all that much that I have to do mechanically. I have to 3D print some of the laser jackets in UV epoxy. That'll be a thing. Unless I already did that. I don't think I already did that, but I want to print up the laser jackets in epoxy. It's not, no, it's far from a dead project. There's just a lot going on. I mean, that's what happens in a setup like this. So there's a lot going on. We will get back to it, and the motor drivers are in there, the Raspberry Pi's in there. Our code is the old code. We will have to get Clipper running. We will have to use the Clipper SDK or whatever it is, the API to get into Clipper and make it do stuff, and be sort of a laser head and have sort of the look ahead stuff. I think somebody resurrected in the time that it took us to say, oh, we're going to use Clipper and not Gerbil, GRBL. I think somebody resurrected Gerbil in the meantime. So maybe we'll go back to Gerbil. I'm not sure. With these Linux guys, man, they're always like, don't use that project. It's been depreciated. You're like, okay. They're like, no, somebody picked up that project again and now it's not depreciated. It's like, can I just use something that works? Like, so anyway, I mean, yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, burn the subs will come back. I obviously have this whole code base for running burn the subs, and it's up there. It's online. It's on GitHub. But I've got this whole code base in Python for fonts and the font dealing and doing all that stuff with it that we could just use as a jumping off point to get everything else done. And so we'll have Node-RED accepting subs, and that's something that I need to work on, and it's the reason why we did smart LEDs today, is because these were going to go towards having indicator lights that represent the statuses of the server, statuses of burn the sub, things like that. We do have status lights on the unit itself, but I want to have these smart LED bulbs so that I can have a big ass red light come on if there's a smart failure, or if the burn the subs gets off the API, I can make it flash, things like that. Like Node-RED is going to be the front end for that, and OBS and a couple other things coming into the shop. And then if its certificates expire, I just go to Node-RED and go, oh, new certificates and stuff. Because that's how these robots work with Twitch. They sit there and then they ask Twitch if anything has happened, and Twitch will let them know. And then you know, they have like their own secret login and their own HTML certification kind of things that have to go in there. Boy, it's complicated, but we got over that hill. We got everything to work properly. So we will get there. We're getting there. We're doing projects that are tangentially related to burn the subs. It's not a dead project. We're just kind of taking a roundabout walk to ease ourselves, right? All right, so I didn't set up my commands. I forgot to do that. We're gonna be back on Tuesday. This has been a shorter stream, hasn't it? Well, it's still 3 hours. I have to talk for 3 hours at a time, all right? You guys try that someday. Actually, do try streaming. My ages, how's it going? Talking about BTS. We took apart a smart light bulb and we found all of the disgusting goop inside of it. They use this giant heatsink compound. And we found a chip that I swear that we've seen before, which is a multi-LED controller that's hooked up to a little Bluetooth module. In doing so, as usual, people are asking me about burn the subs as if I owe them that project for some reason. That's also what Node-RED is going to do. Are you paying any attention? Node-RED is going to be the front end for my interactivity with chat. So if a bits redemption is done, I can shove that into one of many systems instead of what we have going on the microcontroller and the ESP over there. And then I can take that microcontroller code and I can make it talk to Node-RED in its own right. I understand, but I don't owe you guys burn the subs. I'm doing it as a charity. So, you know, all of these things, again, like I said, are tangentially related to the functionality of burn the subs. All this stuff has a purpose in this shop. I'm not doing random projects. I am building my way back to burn the subs. And we're going to have it set up better, and it'll be more expansive, and it'll be expandable, and it'll do everything we want it to do without delay, and it'll have nice motor controllers and all that stuff. So, like, the physical stuff is 99% done. It's just wiring it. All right, hold on. Let me get my thing. Unfortunately, I have a great crowd today. You guys, there's a lot of you, and you're doing great stuff, except for the frustrating ones. But I'll let you guys figure out who those are on your own. I'm just saying that. I'm just saying that to be weird. No. But anyway, we got a lot of people today because it's a Friday and because I'm doing stuff that's just kind of fun. I don't think I'm going to take apart the second LED light bulb. We'll put that in our back pocket for another day. It's going to be the same thing. This will be the same thing, but with a Wi-Fi module in the middle instead. So I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. We took apart the ghost hunting tool that had a fairly interesting antenna and magnetometer layout on it. That was pretty cool. So our next stream is going to be. I hate closing the shop up when I've got so many people here, but I can't sweat that. I'm going to be back on the 14th unless I decide to do a gaming stream tomorrow. I don't have much to do with a gaming stream. I tried Infra, and it frustrated me as an engineer. It actually frustrated me instead of being a delightful experience. The frustration that I have is that it's kind of engineering, but it doesn't give you like a manual for anything. And I know I don't want to. Oh my God, my dog is barking. It's really, really distracting. Yeah, she's going at it. Yeah, so we'll be back on Tuesday. But yeah, in Infra, like it was like, I know how this works in engineering, but you have to be so detail oriented when you're exploring. like to find a cache that's under a blade of grass, like a particular one, or finding this or that or this specific thing. It kind of just, I got nettled. I love the scenery. I love the concept of going through all these industrial spaces that are kind of like dingy and running down, and actually figuring out how and why they are running down. I'm going through it with a guide, unfortunately, because I'm too dumb. I missed everything, right? I did most of the first level, and I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something. And I looked at the guide, and I'm like, I missed everything. I literally missed everything. Even how to just basically play the game. I would be wandering around in that map for 2 years if I didn't have some kind of direction. So like just a little bit of direction. Yeah. But anyway, the game is fun. It's very silly. And then I've got to start playing Obensour when I'm done with Infra. Apparently, those two are very interrelated, and I'm going to find out how. I don't think I'm going to do Obensour streams, though. We'll find a cool game to stream in the near future. We'll get back into doing that. Now that I've kind of, it's been a couple years with the dog, I've kind of acclimated to taking care of the dog as well as streaming. So, but yeah. Saturday morning rainy day stream. That would be very late at night for you, my Australian cousin. What is it, 4 a.m. for you on a Saturday? Or no, is it still Friday there? I can't keep track of this stuff. But yeah, I do want to do some rainy day streams, some Saturday streams. It's 7 a.m. Oh. Holy shit. Jeez, dude. Yeah, I'm just wrapping up. I just did the end command and everything, so I'm going to be back on Tuesday. And until then, I'm going to be working on Julian's mixer PCB, this thing. This little guy right here is a very dense piece of technology that I am trying desperately to get all the traces down on. Wrapping it up like a burrito. I decided not to have a burrito. I had a fajita bowl, and that's why I'm burping really bad. I got to take like a famotidine when I'm done streaming. This thing is too small, and I think the power plug is going to get in the way of stuff. I think I need to move the power plug over. I only have so much room to move it inward, move it inboard. That looks so fun. It's a bunch of little puzzles in a frock. It's a bunch of little tiny puzzles where you go, well, I got to get this trace over to this point over here. Where am I going to go? Let me go this way, and then let me dodge that signal there, and I could go there. And then an hour later, you're going to be running another trace going, wait, oh, I actually need to move that one over here, so let me go back to this and move that one over here. It just goes like that until you finally finish the whole circuit. And what you're doing is you're trying to recreate your original design. The CAD software, because you've put your original design in there, the CAD software knows what needs to be connected to what. So you lay it all out in 2 dimensions, and you try to make it into a 2-layer board. And if at some point your brain breaks, you can go to a 4-layer board. It's going to be $4 more for 5 of them, which is ridiculous to me, because it used to be that going from a 2-layer PCB to a 4-layer PCB was hundreds of dollars. And even just a singular PCB was hundreds of dollars. I'm doing JLC PCB for this to try out the service. $5. It's going to be $5 for 5 of these boards. And if I go to 4 layers, it'll be $20 for 4 layers of board. What the hell? It's just like Factorio and conveyor belts. It is indeed. Factorio and conveyor belts is a 2-layer board. Satisfactory is an infinite layer board. It's like wire wrapping. So those are the two. And by the way, that part of my brain that gets itched when I work on PCBs, Satisfactory, Factorio, that is that part of the brain. It itches my need for organization and the tiny little jobs that make up a board like this. You need to get this thing to this thing, you need to get this thing to this thing, and you need to do it with belts, aka traces, within your ability to cope with imperfection. Currently play Factorio. Who doesn't? That's a good game. Okay, anyway, so PCB design is going to be happening in the background. I'm going to work on that a little bit. I'm kind of burnt out right now, so I'm going to take my leave of you guys. I'm probably going to do an errand. I'm going to walk my corgi. She has been very cute, and I've posted her in the Discord if you want to see the corgi do things like. One sec. If you want to see the corgi do stuff like this. Join the Discord. All right. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Where did that? Oh no, it's right. One sec. Wait, where?